I've got 6 o'clock, folks, so we will call the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting for Tuesday, August the 26th to order. You have before you, opening prayer by Caleb Adams of Christian Life Church. He's not going to be able to join us tonight, so in his place we'll have Pastor Johnny Bird from Legacy Church here in Bartlett. So if you're able, please stand for the prayer. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Johnny.
Father, thank you. God, thank you for the awesome privilege to get to live in such a wonderful city. God, thank you for what we're seeing happen in our city as we continue to grow and thrive, and the decisions this mayor and alderman board are making, drawing Bartlett into being a great city that we can all be hometown proud. But Lord, I pray even now, God, that your grace in this moment would be on us as we make decisions toward the future. God, let your mercy follow after us. And Lord, may we have one ear toward the citizens and one ear toward heaven, knowing what you would have us do and knowing what's best for our city. God, give us a grace for that. We don't have any wisdom, but you said in your word that if any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God. So today, give us wisdom and understanding to do what we're supposed to do. And Lord, I pray, as much as I prayed anything, that you give the Bartlett Panthers strength to beat Germantown Friday nights. In Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and Jesus' name, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I got a player and a daughter. We're rooting.
Pastor Johnny last Sunday is the only pastor that I know in town that was praying for the officials on Friday night. He said he was praying for them because they was all blind. So, Madam Clerk, will you read the future meetings into the record, please?
Beer Board, September 2nd at 6 p.m. Planning Commission, September 2nd at 6:30 p.m. Bartlett Station Commission, September 3rd at 7:30 a.m. City Beautiful Commission, September 4th at 6:30 p.m. Industrial Development Board, September 4th at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I do not see any scouts in the crowd. If they are, they're gray-headed. But with that, we will move to the approval of the minutes. You should all have seen the minutes from the August 12th Mayor Board of Aldermen meeting. And without any omissions, corrections, or errors, the chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Move we approve.
Second. Been properly motioned to second. Madam Clerk. Minutes are passed, unanimous. Next item we have is a public hearings. There will be 3 public hearings. Individuals will have a maximum of 3 minutes to speak, either for or against, with a total of 20 minutes each side. If there's enough time remaining, we will read the received request, either for or against, into the record. So, the first, Madam Clerk, will you read item number 1 under public hearings into the record, please?
Item 1, Resolution 27-25, a resolution approving a special use permit to allow a planned residential development to be located at the southeast corner of Yale Road and Bartlett Boulevard within the RS-10 single-family residential zoning district.
Mr. Sam Harris, Assistant Director of Planning and Economic Development, for an explanation from the city.
Good evening. This is not Groundhog Day. You have seen this item before. You approved it at the March 11th, 2025 meeting. This planned development, essentially we're revising it from an 8-lot planned development to a 5-lot development. The new property owner took some of the lots and consolidated them. The lots are ranging in size from 13,816 square feet to 1.34 acres. Essentially, it's the same approval conditions that you had before. It'll be the same private ingress egress easement that comes across Bartlett Boulevard and connects to Yale Road to the north. But outside of that, it's really the same planned development, just a 5-lot version.
So, at this time, if you wish to speak in favor, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, please. Seeing no one coming forward to speak in favor? Any of those in opposition to Resolution 27-25, please come forward. Seeing no one come forward, we will adjourn the public hearing on item number 1. Madam Clerk, we read item number 2 into the record.
Resolution 29-25, a resolution approving a special use permit to allow a hookah lounge, bar, or tavern, smoking lounge establishment to be located at 2965 North Germantown Road, Suite 111, within the CH Highway Business Zoning District.
At this time, I'd ask Mr. Sam Harris to please come back up.
All right. This item comes before you this evening with an unfavorable recommendation from the Planning Commission at their July 7th, 2025 meeting. The history on this goes back to November 2nd, 2020. The Planning Commission made an unfavorable recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for a tavern, cocktail lounge, nightclub, bar use as defined by the City of Bartlett zoning ordinance permitted use chart. On January 12th, 2021, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen voted against granting Sticks and Stones a special use permit, deciding to move forward with a business license without liquor or live music on January 21st, 2021. The owner stated in an email to Planning Director Kim Taylor, "We would like to serve beer, alcohol content of 5% or less to be consumed on premise only. No liquor, alcohol content greater than 5% will be served on premise. No stage and no live band DJ entertainment will happen within our establishment." On January 29th, 2021, Mr. White described the business on the business license application as Sticks and Stones will be a cigar, smokers lounge, and restaurant. We are an age-restricted establishment, 21 and up. We will ID customers as they enter. We will apply to serve beer, however, no liquor or live entertainment. The Daily Memphian, in an article by Omar Yusuf on March 10th, 2021, reported that was the reality for Sticks and Stones partners Willis White Jr. and Tavares Jones after the Board of Mayor and Aldermen voted against granting them a special use permit at its January 12th, 2021 meeting. The permit was necessary to allow live music and liquor at Sticks and Stones. It came to the attention of staff that liquor was being served as well as Sticks and Stones were hosting DJs and live entertainment. Hours of operation are 6 p.m. to 1 a.m., which is later than a normal restaurant establishment would stay open. The applicants were approved as a restaurant use since their request for a special use permit as a tavern, cocktail lounge, nightclub, bar use was denied by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen on January 12, 2021. Their business license application stated, Sticks and Stones will be a cigar, smokers lounge, and restaurant. We are an age-restricted establishment, 21 and up. We will ID customers as they enter. We will apply to serve beer, however, no liquor or live entertainment. Now, TCA 3917-1804 provides regulations to allow smoking within restaurants. Also, TCA 574102 requires seating for 40. A menu and beer sales must not exceed 50% of sales. Essentially, the establishment could operate as a restaurant that allows smoking, but the liquor, live entertainment, and excessively late operating hours shifts the use from restaurant use to hookah lounge, bar, or tavern smoking lounge use, which requires obtaining the special use permit from the Board of Mayor and Aldermen this evening. The initial hours of operation were described as Tuesday through Thursday, 3 p.m. to 10, Friday and Saturday, 12 p.m. to midnight, and Sunday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Social media has their operating hours as 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. with happy hour until 9 p.m. Most restaurants within Bartlett are closed by 9 p.m. The Tennessee ABC does allow a restaurant to apply for a buy-the-drink liquor license, but when the applicant states in their business license that no liquor or live entertainment, why would the applicant go and apply for a liquor license in contrast to what they just told the City of Bartlett? If Tennessee ABC had ever contacted the City of Bartlett on whether the location should be allowed a liquor license, then the answer would have been that this is in direct violation of their business license and voids their use and occupancy permit. In this situation, the primary use is hookah lounge, bar, or tavern smoking lounge use, which requires obtaining a special use permit from the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. The establishment has the option to resume operating within the confines of their business license that they describe precisely how their age-restricted restaurant that permits smoking would operate, which is no liquor or live entertainment. The applicants were denied being able to operate how they wanted to operate, so they voluntarily submitted a business license to be able to open their establishment as a smoking restaurant. Then they decided to operate their establishment in direct contradiction to how they told the city of Bartlett it would be operated, and in direct violation of the city of Bartlett zoning ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. At this time, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to come forward in favor of granting Resolution 29-25, please come to the microphone.
Good evening. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Yeah, I'm Willis White. I am part owner of Sticks and Stones. So I come to you before in favor. 2965 North Germantown Road, Suite 111. I come to you guys in front of you asking for a favor and approval of the special use permit, and just to kind of provide some information regarding our business. We started it a little over 4 years ago, and once we began our business, it was as such where we stated it's just a loungewear, cigar lounge and restaurant. When we determined that we needed to make updates to improve our business, we did submit an application to the state of Tennessee for ABC license. Then we came to the Planning and Development Office here at Bartlett, where we had to get special permits and updates done to our venue. So at that moment, once we did have communication with the Planning and Code Office on what updates we needed, things we needed to continue to do, at that moment, we thought, at the least, that our position was understood, that this is what our plan was. But that is on us. That is our fault, because we didn't take the necessary steps to verify that we needed to obtain our permit license. I do want to be very clear. This was not done out of any type of spite or backdoor activity to try to dispersuade anything that we said initially. Our goal when we first started was as where we were, and we operated that way for the first year and a half. Once we did make those updates, we got planning and the planning board, and we also got the fire marshal involved as well, so that we can get those updates and everything approved. Once everything was approved and we got the go-ahead, that's when we were able to submit our application to the state of Tennessee. So we had no clue that if there was any communication back and forth or not. But again, that's known. No one but ourselves, due to the fact that we just were unaware of what we needed to do to make sure that this was okay with the board and with the mayor as well. So we do apologize from that standpoint. And we do seek your forgiveness and your grace from that standpoint, just understanding that it was not done out of any type of spite or malice or intention to be untrustworthy. And then speaking deeper onto that, our business has been established for 4 years. Within that time frame, we have built up a nice clientele, a nice community within the city of Bartlett. We've become a space where people come to really relish the energy that we provide, a safe, clean, and enjoyable environment where they get to do things in a casual manner, where they get to get out of their homes, especially the city of Bartlett residents, where they get to be near their homes. Not to mention our neighbors, our neighboring businesses, where we've patronized them, they've patronized us, and we've also been able to send business their way due to the amount of people that we've been able to attract. So being able to get this permit approved will allow us to sustain our business, to keep moving forward, and allow us to continue what we've been successfully able to do. And you hear from us right now that moving forward, we want to make sure that we abide by the guidelines and make sure we have everything we need. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to come forward and speak in favor?
Good evening. My name is Irene Parker. My address is 6479 Gilead Circle, Bartlett, Tennessee. I am a proud Lieutenant Colonel, retired Air Force, and I also graduated from Raleigh, Egypt. But I am here to speak in behalf of Sticks and Stones. I have been a member for the past 3 years, and this is a special place to come to, especially in Bartlett, since there is no other really place in Bartlett that ladies can come and smoke cigars. I do smoke cigars. And if there is no Sticks and Stones, of course, I'll have to take my business elsewhere, and I just think that would be a negative benefit for the city of Bartlett. Sticks and Stones is adult-oriented. It is safe. They have security there. So I never feel like I'm in any kind of danger, any kind of terror. But it is just a wonderful place for grown folks to get together and smoke and have fun. Also, the live music is wonderful. Not only is it wonderful for the people who attend Sticks and Stones, but for the folks who do the business there. I think Bartlett would be losing a lot if we lost Sticks and Stones. Like I said, it is a wonderful place. I enjoy being there, and I think it is a wonderful asset to the city of Bartlett. So I'm asking, please reconsider and allow them to do whatever they need to do, whatever is necessary to regain their business, because we do not want to lose this business to other areas, because folks will go, and that right now they are going to other places to do their business, to smoke and communicate and listen to live music and enjoy themselves. So thank you for listening to me, and I really appreciate you giving me the time and giving us the time to get together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ma'am, we also thank you for your service to the country.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Michael Edwards, 3433 Lynchburg Street. Depending on which side of the street you're on, it's Bartlett or Memphis. Well, I actually had written something, but you got my name now. But my thing was speaking perpendicularly from a horizontal angle. I'm proud to stand before you and speak to the character of these fine young men and the establishment they've successfully built over the past few years. I myself, I'm a Ford Finance and Development Manager for the Southeast region. And my states are Kentucky, Arkansas, Mississippi, but most importantly, the great state of Tennessee. I frequently visit the establishment Tuesday through Sunday because smoking in my garage is it's not as fun. But to enjoy a cigar and a libation to help me unwind from my long day, because I deal with a bunch of attitudes during the day. And, you know, when you cross the threshold at Sticks and Stones, it's different. These young men greet you with a handshake and a hug. The waitresses, the waitstaff, they all make you feel like you're part of a family. You know, from even sitting there and just catching a glimpse of a Grizzlies game from time to time, or the lazy Sunday afternoon where you get to listen to some live music. It's really enjoyable. But they do an exceptional job of taking care of their customers. I don't know of anyone that really complains about what service they get there or how they're treated when they come there. So I'm somewhat emphatically imploring you today, please give this establishment what they need to keep going forward. Again, I'm a 52-year-old man who enjoys a nice cigar and a nice place to hang out and communicate with other people like myself. And for those of you who do enjoy a good cigar, come see us.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else wish to come forward in favor? Seeing no one else wish to come speak in favor, those in opposition, please come to the microphone at this time. Seeing no one else coming forward. We will close and adjourn the public hearing for resolution.
I received those
I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Please take the remaining time to read those into the record.
How much time do we have remaining? Our first letter, Marvin Wiggins Sr., and we received 17 letters. Their names and email addresses will be included in the minutes, as well as the letters that are I'm beginning to read. The Honorable Mayor, Dear Mayor Parsons, I am writing to you in strong support of Sticks and Stones, a valued local business that has served Bartlett with excellence for the past 4 years. During this time, the establishment has consistently operated with integrity, providing quality food, a safe environment for patrons, and live entertainment that brings our community together. Importantly, it has done so without ever being a nuisance or detriment to the neighborhood. Sticks and Stones is a gathering place that adds vibrancy and character to your city. It has become an asset to the Bartlett community by creating jobs, supporting local events, and offering a safe, enjoyable space for residents. Businesses like this keep our community strong, diverse, and thriving. The recent suspension of its liquor license places this establishment at risk, threatening not only the livelihood of its staff, but also the cultural and economic value it brings to Bartlett. I ask that you consider the positive record and contributions of Sticks and Stones when weighing this matter. The business has proved itself to be a responsible operator and deserves the opportunity to continue serving the community without disruption. I respectfully urge you to advocate for restoring its license and ensuring that valued businesses like Sticks and Stones are supported, not sidelined. Bartlett is at its best when we stand behind the local businesses that strengthen our community fabric. Thank you for your time and leadership. Respectfully, Marvin Wiggins Sr. He also wrote a second letter, but I'll move on to the next citizen. Jordan Owens. I have been a patron of this establishment since the grand opening, and I've never experienced anything negative the entire time they have been in business. They do many things for the community of Bartlett and are for the people in the community. It would be a delight for you all that hold positions to consider meeting with them about this matter to get things rectified. These are good citizens of the community of Bartlett, and they are hardworking within their field of business. It would be a shame to see such a place with so much more potential to have to close its doors because of this. They have been operating at a good capacity with no issues. The people love this place, and so do I. Tomisha Ford. My name is Machia Ford, and I am writing in strong support of Sticks and Stone and its owners, Willis White and Tavarius Jones. For over 4 years, Sticks and Stones has been an asset to the Bartlett community. They have provided a safe, welcoming place for friends and families to gather, and they have done so while operating responsibly with liquor service and live entertainment. In all this time, they have never been a nuisance to our community. Instead, they have been a positive influence, creating jobs, generating tax revenue, and offering much-needed local entertainment. I was disappointed to hear that the Bartlett Committee had suspended their ability to operate with liquor and entertainment. This decision directly harms a business that has consistently shown care and commitment to our city. I respectfully urge you to consider this action and reinstate their privileges. Angela King. Hello. I am a resident of my Bartlett community for over 14 years. I have worked at St. Francis Hospital for the past 3 years, and after a long day, most days, I like to wind down at the nearest lounge, Sticks and Stones. After recently attending, I've noted that there's been an issue with their liquor regulations. I'm hoping that this is all a misunderstanding and they're able to obtain their license back soon as that's the one place a lot of professionals can gather for a safe and fun environment. Please have mercy on this establishment so that revenue can continue flowing into the Bartlett community. Melissa Madkins. Dear Mayor Parsons, I am writing to you as a frequent visitor to Bartlett who has come to greatly value one of his establishments, Sticks and Stones. Though I live in South Haven, Mississippi, I willingly travel nearly 45 minutes to enjoy what this lounge has to offer because it provides something rare in today's nightlife, a safe, mature, and positive environment for adults to gather. What makes Sticks and Stones so impactful is not only the environment it provides, but also the men behind it. Devarius and Will are exemplary business owners whose vision has always been to create a positive, fun, and safe space for adults. Their character and integrity are evident in the way they operate. They are attentive, approachable, and intentional, ensuring that every patron feels welcome, respected, and safe. Their leadership sets the tone, creating a constant atmosphere of camaraderie, laughter, and relaxation. Another highlight of Sticks and Stones is the live entertainment they provide. The music and performances create an atmosphere that is vibrant, yet always respectful and adult-friendly. It adds to the charm of the lounge, giving patrons like myself the opportunity to enjoy quality entertainment in a safe environment. For many of us, it's the perfect balance, fun, engaging, and uplifting without ever compromising the values of safety and maturity that make this place so special. Bartlett is fortunate to have Devarius and Will investing in this city. Their establishment is more than a lounge. It is the realization of their vision to create a positive, safe, and enjoyable nightlife option for adults. Few places manage to strike this balance so well, and it is their leadership and dedication that make it possible. As someone who makes the effort to drive nearly an hour just to be a part of what they've built, I can say with confidence that Sticks and Stones is irreplaceable. It is a rare jewel that brings people together, uplifts its community, and showcases the kind of integrity and vision that Bartlett should be proud to stand behind. I sincerely hope that as leaders of this city, you will see Devarius and Will and Sticks and Stones for what they truly are, an example of business done right, rooted in character, integrity, and a desire to give people something positive. Supporting Sticks and Stones is not just about business, it's about supporting the very values that make a community thrive. Sean Calhoun, Jr. Greetings, Mayor Parsons and City Council. I live about 10 minutes from Sticks and Stones, and over the past few years it has become an important part of my life. It has been my third place outside of home and work where I could unwind, connect with friends, and enjoy a welcoming atmosphere. In many ways, it has been therapeutic, giving me a chance to recharge and feel part of the Bartlett community. Since the suspension of their liquor license, that connection has been lost. I haven't been able to gather with friends in the same way, and I've seen how it has impacted the staff as well. Many of them have been displaced from jobs they care deeply about, and the sense of community that came with seeing familiar faces they have been missing. Sticks and Stones has always been a positive presence and never a nuisance. Bartlett is stronger with them operating fully. I respectfully ask that you take into account the impact this decision has on both patrons and employees and allow them to continue serving the community as they have for the past 4 years. Thank you for your time and consideration. Best regards, Sean Calhoun, Jr. Felshanae Hayes. I am writing to you in strong support of Sticks and Stones Cigar Lounge, a local business that has become a true pillar not only in Bartlett but also throughout the greater Memphis community. Since their opening, Sticks and Stones has served as more than just a cigar lounge. It has been a gathering place that fosters community, culture, and connection. Their leadership and involvement have extended well beyond their businesses, supporting and hosting events that bring people together across Memphis. They were recently nominated for Memphis Top 40 Under 40, a clear recognition of their leadership, influence, and contributions to the city. In addition, they have been featured in numerous podcasts, events, and magazines, highlighting their impact and growing reputation. Sticks and Stones has even been recognized as one of the top cigar lounges in the city, a distinction backed by their strong reputation with the public, reflected in a 4.6 Google rating and 86% positive rating on Facebook. Currently, I understand there is a concern regarding their liquor license. While their license is active, the Bartlett Commission has indicated otherwise. Their case is set for review on August 26, 2025. Given their consistent compliance and contributions to the community, I respectfully urge your office to ensure that their live music and liquor license are reinstated without delay. Sticks and Stones has proven to be a responsible, community-driven business that adds significant cultural and economic value to Bartlett. I sincerely hope the city will continue to support them in thriving as a cornerstone of our community. Lonnie Page. Dear Mayor Parsons, I hope this message finds you well. My name is Mr. Lonnie Page, and I live and work in Bartlett. I am writing to express my strong support for Sticks and Stones and the important role it plays in our community. It has also given me a family outside my family. For the past 4 years, Sticks and Stones has operated responsibly, providing a safe and welcoming environment for residents and visitors. Beyond simply being a place to enjoy food, drinks, and entertainment, it has become a true community hub where people gather, connect, and support local business. In that time, I have never known it to be a nuisance to the community. On the contrary, it has brought positive energy, supported local jobs, and contributed to Bartlett's growing reputation as a place people want to live, work, and visit. I respectfully ask that you and the City Council take into consideration the positive impact that Sticks and Stones has had on Bartlett as you review its liquor license. Keeping this establishment operating as its full capacity is not only a benefit to the business, but also to the many people in Bartlett who enjoy and appreciate it. Thank you for your time and consideration. Dennis Jones. Dear Bartlett City Council, I am writing to express my strong support for Sticks and Stones and its positive impact on our Bartlett community. As a resident, employee, patron in Bartlett, I have had the pleasure of experiencing firsthand the responsible and community-oriented manner in which Sticks and Stones operates. For the past 4 years, Sticks and Stones has provided a valuable service to our community by offering... That's time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That will adjourn the public hearing on Resolution 29-25. Madam Clerk, will you read item number 3 into the record, please?
Resolution 30-25, a resolution approving a special use permit to allow a residential mixed-use development to be located at the northeast corner of New Brunswick Road and Highway 64 within the CH Highway Business Zoning District.
At this time, I'd ask Mr. Sam Harris with our Planning Department to come forward.
The Stoa Group is requesting a special use permit to allow a residential mixed-use development on the subject property located at New Brunswick Road and Highway 64. This 25.73 acres is vacant. You may remember this site from December 2023 when the Planning Commission approved a master plan for the Hy-Vee subdivision, but the Hy-Vee grocery store declined to move forward with further development plans for the subject property. Part of that was due to the layout of the site and the stream that cuts the site in half. However, that makes it advantageous for the application this evening, which is the residential mixed-use development that encompasses 312 multifamily units, 6.6 acres of commercial, and a quick service restaurant along New Brunswick Road. Now with this, you will also have 6 acres of green space, and the surrounding zoning districts are IP, Planned Industrial Park to the north, City of Memphis Commercial to the south, and RS10 Single Family Residential to the east, and CH Highway Business Commercial to the east and west. The surrounding uses include industrial park, pest control business, automobile body and paint shop, new and used motor vehicle sales, restaurants, multi-tenant retail, behavioral hospital, and gas station with convenience store. So as I said, this site, the way that it's laid out, it really is a good site to have a mixing of uses, and that creek, it really divides the commercial, which would be located adjacent to the Highway 64 New Brunswick Road corner, and then secluded behind that would be the 312 multifamily units. And with 5 multinational companies and $30 billion in investment coming to the area, there are a contingent of workforce that would really need to be able to house those people in this area. So that's before you this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Those wishing to speak in favor at this time, please come forward. Seeing no one wish to come speak in favor, those in opposition, and we'll note that we did receive one letter of opposition, and it looks like that was Ms. Richardson who's fixed to speak before us.
Thank you so much. It's nice to see you all. I appreciate your attention to the two written submissions that I made to all of you, one in July and one most recently this Sunday, outlining the traffic difficulties that this proposed special use will cause to be faced by Bartlett. Just for noting, there were a number of reasons why this should be denied. The Planning Commission had a split vote on this. There were 4 members of the Planning Commission who had serious problems with it. But tonight, I'm just going to focus on the traffic problem. You all know that Stage Road belongs to Memphis, and that the intersection of New Brunswick Road and Stage Road belongs to Memphis. The Stage Road is a state highway. The state has a lot to say about what happens with that, and you cannot control their process or their priorities. Likewise, this intersection is less than a quarter mile from the entrance and ramps to I-40. And both of those entrance ramps are left turns across oncoming traffic. Neither one has space for more than 10 cars to wait to turn left at the present time. The Planning Commission and the Planning Group and the Planning Commission recognize that the current intersection is a D, and that without substantial improvements to Stage Road and the area on New Brunswick around Stage Road, it will become an E. I don't know what's worse than E, but E sounds pretty darn bad to me. This proposed development is 312 luxury apartments. They are going to rent for between $1,700 and $3,000 a month. The vast majority of them will have more than one vehicle that will be coming and going, so you can anticipate 500 to 600 additional vehicles coming through this area if this is approved. In addition, because they are 2- and 3-bedroom apartments, they will have children, and we will have school buses going through this area. Right now, with 2 left turn lanes onto Stage, traffic backs up terribly, and adding 500 to 600 more vehicles isn't going to make this even more dangerous. I would like to say I would think you could cut a deal with Memphis for them to put this on the priority list, but I don't think so. As a member of the Mega Site Board, I am well familiar with the difficulty of getting state road projects approved. Our addition of entrance and exit ramps at exit 42, the single most important project in the state of Tennessee, is now 5 years into its process, and it was the #1 priority for the state. This intersection is not going to be improved, and if you approve this special use development, you need to understand you're doing it with leaving the roads as they are. Now, I would also point out real quickly 2 things. The developer doesn't say anything about what happens north of this on New Brunswick Road. He doesn't want to have to deal with the people there.
The time has expired.
Thank you. Please read my papers. I appreciate it. And you don't have to read them into the record. I will read somebody else's, not mine, if you have them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Anyone else wish to speak against? Seeing no one coming forward, we will adjourn the public hearing for Resolution 30-25, and we'll move to unfinished business. Madam Clerk, will you read item number 1 under unfinished business into the record, please?
Resolution 27-25, a resolution approving a special use permit to allow a planned residential development to be located at the southeast corner of Yale Road and Bartlett Boulevard within the RS10 Family Residential Zoning District.
Move we approve. Second.
Any discussion? So we did get I'm sorry, who did the second? Okay. All right. So any discussion on Resolution 27-25? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, please pass the roll before the Alderman, please. Passes 6-0. Now, Madam Clerk, will you read item number 2 into the record, please?
Resolution 29-25, a resolution approving a special use permit to allow a hookah lounge, bar, or tavern smoking lounge establishment to be located at 2965 North Germantown Road, Suite 111, within the CH Highway Business Zoning District.
Move we approve.
Second it.
Any discussion?
Yeah, Sam, what was the vote in planning on that?
The vote on this item in planning was unanimously unfavorable.
I have a question. Excuse me. This already had a special use permit, as I understand it. This was approved years ago. But
this is the hookah lounge. The Board of Mayor and Aldermen, they denied that special use permit in January.
But they've been operating as one anyway.
They submitted a business license as a smoking allowed restaurant. And within that smoking allowed restaurant, they voluntarily put on their business license, no liquor, no live entertainment. However, at some point in time, they added liquor and live entertainment.
Okay.
And with the TCA, as far as it being a smoking allowed restaurant, once you add in those elements to it, in a typical restaurant, it's clearly a restaurant as your primary use and a bar as an ancillary use. Once you switch over that caveat to this location, then the bar is the primary use. And so that's why it's here this evening. As well as we added a hookah lounge definition in 2023. So we're actually being graceful in allowing them, should this be approved, be denied, to continue operating as a smoking allowed restaurant that serves only beer. If they could stick with their initial business license that we approved, then they could continue with that. But if this were to come in as a brand new application today, no matter what, it would fall under that hookah lounge special use permit.
So what are we being asked to approve tonight?
So tonight it is a hookah lounge, bar, lounge special use permit.
With alcohol?
With alcohol, live
music.
entertainment, and hours that are well into the night.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Miss Alderwoman Williams, you're recognized.
Chief Cox, I wanted to ask you questions about the area, if you don't mind coming up. Thank you. Hi. So you are familiar with the location that the current Sticks and Stones is at? And I guess my question is, have we had any calls of disturbance that you are familiar with over the last, 4 years that they've been in operations? From a nuisance or standpoint, have we experienced or any calls?
I would be hesitant to answer that without actually looking.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't want to give you false information. I can do that if you give me a few more minutes, but I'd have to look and make sure that I didn't lead you in the wrong direction.
Okay, I appreciate that. I would like to know that information.
I know that didn't answer your question.
No, but yeah, if you could get that information. I just want to know, we didn't have anybody really in opposition for it. I wasn't a part of the board when it was denied, so I'm not understanding why it was denied. But I wanted to know, since they have been in operations, has there been any nuisance calls or any occurrences there that can deem them to be a nuisance to the area?
I will look it up for you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Alderman Quinn?
Hey, yes. At the planning, I believe there was a letter from a neighboring business that did ask to have it denied. If I remember correctly, maybe Jack can verify that. So does anybody know when the state granted the liquor license, or
yes,
by the whatever the detail is?
Trey or Sam?
So once the applicants came forward with the business license, and it was the description of it would follow these TCA codes and be essentially an age-restricted smoking restaurant, planning was able to sign off at that point. From that point, the Tennessee ABC liquor license, they had no contact with our office nor any contact with code enforcement. Really with Tennessee ABC, it's more about collecting the taxes at the end of the day. So at best, finance would, receive that information when it was time to pay taxes. But as far as Tennessee ABC contacting planning or code enforcement, I wouldn't be able to tell you when that was granted.
So, I'm sorry. So I think the question that Alderman Quinn is asking is when, because from hearing the previous, discussion, they had, before they could get their liquor license and having that experience as well, there's certain things that have to be met within an establishment, within the kitchen and all of that, So to have that approved, code and planning would have to come over and make sure that they met those qualifications. So I think what you're asking is, when did we approve the updates to their building to be able to apply for even a liquor license? You have to have updates. Do we know that information?
When the tenant went in originally, they did updates for the restaurant use. So 3-compartment sinks, so on and so forth. That was for the original, ventilation system for the original use. The liquor license, I actually have a copy of one. I don't know if it was their first one, but the effective date was 9/16/2022.
Okay, so, and may have to call them up. From what I heard is that there were additional updates made that were required by ABC, that required code to go back over. Is that, did you all have to go back and approve anything?
We did the original. I don't know that
from the fire
I don't
marshal?
remember any that we went back to.
So it would be, I know that from a occupancy standpoint. So that's what I'm getting at. Like, that would have to, if that wasn't approved, they would have to have that to be able to apply for a liquor license. So when did that transpire for them to be able to get the ABC, liquor by the drink approval?
After the initial, we never went back.
When we opened our place, Code gave us our final, and they left. And then we went to TNABC, and they sent an inspector out.
Okay.
But Code does not go back in the building.
Yeah, but I just recall them saying something about Code. So that's why I was asking.
Code should not have gone back in the building. It should have been somebody from the state who went into the building.
Okay, but I know that, but that's something that was said earlier. I just wanted to get clarification on that. Okay, thanks, Trey.
So we're looking for the specific date that happened, Monique.
Yeah.
Would the applicant like to answer that?
Yeah.
So I don't have a specific date. I know it happened anytime between June and August of 2022. I know the updates they required at the time, where we needed to install a hand washing sink in our bar area. And once we did that, they came back in and said it needed to be installed at a certain height without legs for use of accessibility or handicap accessibility. And then they came back in and said we needed to install a underground line, so we actually had to bust up our concrete within the kitchen, so we had to get approved for that as well, to run a line to our drain where our 3-part sink goes. So I know someone came in and did all those inspections. I can't say a particular name from whichever. To my assumption at the time, someone from Code or the development had to sign off on it to approve it so that we can move forward. And then after that, the fire marshal came in and they made certain requests that we had to approve to move forward as well.
And that was after your initial, that's after you were open, so that was not for your initial opening.
Correct. We had been open almost about 1.5 years at that point.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that brings another question up. So are you saying that Code came out and inspected all this work?
Yes. Now again, I can't, because they were saying it likely wasn't Bartlett Code. I can't verify that or not.
I mean, we only
Again,
have one code.
to our perception, that's who came out. You know, but again, I said we should have done more of our research to verify who needed to be there and what we needed to do to make sure everything was done the correct way. It was just.
So there would only be one code. It would be enforced. It would be
Bartlett.
Bartlett. So that's what I was just trying to get clarification on.
Because from what he just said, the state would send somebody out to make those adjustments. I don't know that that's true or not.
Code. I'm sorry. So you're saying that you did work without code approval?
No, we did work with Byra Code's request, and then they approved it.
No, sir. You're saying the state wanted you to add some stuff, but code enforcement doesn't have a record.
Again, I can't
verify
the
initial build out, because it was empty. It was empty suite when you got it.
I think
it was an empty suite, but it had a kitchen. So what we included initially when we got code involved before we opened our doors at first.
Okay, when you said they, I didn't know.
We added some things that they had to approve of. And then once we decided that, hey, we wanted to move forward pursuing an alcohol or ABC license, we brought code in again for those updates that we needed. Mm-hmm. So from our perspective, we're thinking it's the same group of people because we weren't privy to if ABC is sending individuals versus if Bartlett is sending individuals, if that makes sense.
Because normally you'd pull a permit to do the work and then have code come out, but code does not have a record. Correct, Trey? There's no record of coming back out the second time to look at all that work?
At the time I was part of some of those inspections, I don't remember going out the second time. I mean, I can check the record and see if there were permits pulled after the initial. I remember going out for the initial ones. I was part of the initial inspections, but I don't remember the second set or going out the second time. It might have been a Tennessee inspector or health inspector from the state of Tennessee with those requirements.
But Trey, if you busted a slab, put a drain in, y'all need to inspect that, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm just confused whether we have a liquor license, do we have inspections, or where we are really.
If I think the timeline, it sounds like to me that the original application to start the business was constructed and got a building final. Subsequent to that, he applied for a state license, and some from the state come out to give a license to serve liquor. To serve liquor license. The beer license is issued by us. The liquor license is issued by the state. The beer license is issued by us. And at that time, they must have required to have some type of sink or some of these other improvements. I don't know if there's anything else. So then he should have had a permit pulled by, I'm assuming, the city of Bartlett to go out and look at that. And Trey cannot remember if one was issued for that or not.
Yeah, I can look it up and see.
You can look it up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, because it sounds, because you also said the fire marshal came out. Okay.
Yeah. The fire marshal would have came on the UNO of the original. He would be the last one out.
Yeah. So is there a liquor license?
Yes. We have an active liquor license.
There's a liquor license, but to have the liquor license, you need a special use permit. And the special use permit was denied, if I'm right, in 2021.
Yeah. Can I add something? I'm sorry, just real quick. I mean, I think, Jack and I and the mayor were on the board at the time, and I voted in favor of you getting it. But I've been very disappointed that, you wait a lot. There's a lot of paperwork and saying, and I had a conversation with one of y'all like the next day or two, asking you to go ahead and open, with the beer, get a beer permit and, get started and we'll see how it goes. But it's just really disappointing to hear all this and, feigning like you didn't know better. I mean, after you went through a very rigorous denial and gosh, Mayor McDonald went on and talked about a lot of stuff, to where frankly I was a little frustrated. But it made it very clear, and you made it very clear in writing that you weren't going to do all these things, and you turn right around and do that. And it's a small area. I'm not really sure how you can manage all the people and the music and everything in there. But like I said, I'm just disappointed, honestly, that you turned around and even applied for a liquor license. After putting in writing so many times that you would not do that. So I just don't believe that it was an oversight or I just didn't understand or whatever, because it was clearly laid out that everybody understood where where the rules were. So I just want to say that. Sorry.
Ms. Williams?
You go ahead.
Okay, I wasn't on the board, so I'm trying to understand why was it even denied in the first place?
It wasn't requested, I don't believe.
No, it was requested. It was denied.
It was requested. It was 7x7 stage. You're gonna have some spoken word and maybe a single jazz player. I remember you talking about that. I remember, I believe the veteran spoke in favor. He had a few people speak in favor of that. I'm not a cigar smoker, so I don't understand how you have to have liquor with the cigar and not the beer. But that's the thing was, I remember all that because, like I said, it was my first vote on the board, and Bobby Simmons and I voted for it. And we were very.
Okay, so I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, so that's kind of the background.
Let me get Sam. Can you address her question?
Okay.
So at the time that it was denied, as far as a specific reason, I couldn't give you a specific reason. However, this is a problematic use in that it's typically a slippery slope to where if we allow one, then everybody's watching, and then we will have an influx of this. Also, at this time, at the time that they originally applied, the planning department, we were receiving several calls specifically asking about opening hookah lounges in Bartlett. And so there was a fear of if we allow one, then we have to allow all of these. And so it was just problematic for the board to approve that request.
Okay. All right. So again, I wasn't on the board. Trying to find a better way to say this than what's in my head. So to me, it sounds like there wasn't a good reason to deny them other than because if I go to Rob, the breakfast factory, not the breakfast factory, but the Southern Breakfast Kitchen that just recently closed, he has a very successful cigar lounge with music and all of that in Memphis. He had a very successful one that he just recently sold. It sits in Lakeland, like right outside exit 18 on the highway. So I'm still trying to understand. And even though they did go the wrong way of doing it, and they do, again, what you said, Kevin, I can understand the disappointment in that. But they've had 4 years of success. So I'm speaking on their behalf. They've had 4 years. As far as we know right at this moment, till Chief Cox tells me something different, I don't see where they were a nuisance. So I'm just trying to understand how 4 years ago we denied them for something, whereas I own a restaurant. They don't smoke in my restaurant, but we have food, we have liquor, and we have live music. And in 4 years, and I don't live that far from there. I don't smoke, so I'm not speaking on behalf. I frequent there, but I don't live far from there. I do know business owners that have businesses close to them, and they have not ever said anything to me that they've been a nuisance. So I wasn't on the board 4 years ago, but I do not understand why it was denied. So
Alderman Reeves.
So I remember this because I watched this meeting specifically. And the reason why I was denied is the same reason why Huey's never made it here. Because the previous administration didn't want music and alcohol together. And to me, and I remember watching this thinking it's served an underserved part of our population. We didn't really have this capability, right? But to me, it's music and alcohol together. That's what it's about. And so I don't think it was turned down for the right reason the first time, just to be frank with you, after watching it. But I'll say this. I'm a small business owner here. And the process to do things 4 years ago compared to now, to me, is a lot easier. And it is confusing the difference between who has the beer license. When do you pull a permit for certain things? What is the threshold that you need a permit? When do you need to go to the planning department? Of course, I wasn't with you guys back then, right? Tennessee ABC, when do you bring them in? Who comes and looks? What does the health department do? If you've never opened a business before, you have no idea the hoops that you have to go through, and there is no real roadmap for somebody to lead you through that. So I do have, I do understand that. My biggest question is, did you, and this is for you, And you seem like a stand-up guy. I've got nothing but positive stuff that I've heard back, okay? But my question is, was it just ignorance on your part and not understanding the process, or was it you trying to openly deceive the city to use it for something that it was not approved to use for? That's really what it gets down to me. I don't think it ever should have been turned down the first time. So I'm more inclined to support it being the special use permit. But my bigger concern is that this whole process sounds really convoluted, and either A, you knew you needed to do it, but you didn't do it because you didn't want to have to get people involved and go through this process, or you just didn't know what you were doing. So can you kind of elaborate on that for me?
Sure thing, and exactly what you just said, because when we came into the business, we never had experience owning a business. We didn't have a clientele. We were literally just two guys in the middle of COVID decided we wanted to do something different. So there was no roadmap, no playbook. We knew where we were denied at. That was very clear, and we operated in that stance. And once we pursued getting our ABC license, that's when we got involved again with the inspections. So from our perspective, again, not being aware of total everything we needed to do, once we knew that someone's there to inspect, someone is aware of what we're trying to do. And once they sign off on it, from our perspective, everything's good. Yeah. Then we go to the state, and they sign off on it, and we pay our money, everything's good. So from our perspective, all right, we're good to go. They know what we're doing now. We had no clue that we needed to come back and present what we did with the state so that we can get approval for everything to get the special use permit. Because I'm just now finding out today the special use permit could be used for multiple things beyond what we're using it for. Right. So again, that's ignorance on our part. Yeah. And we've stated to ourselves that, there's nobody to blame but ourselves, because we should have done more research or due diligence to figure that part out. We just took it and ran with it thinking everything's okay. And for 4 years, no one said anything. Yeah. So we were literally just operating out of a space of this is where we thought we were doing correct, because we paid our bills, we paid our taxes, everything stayed upon it. I came back every year, got my liquor license, beer license, business license to this same building, So I'm assuming at that time everything's going well. So that was just kind of the perspective of where we were.
When the state sent out their person, did it kind of blow your mind what they found and kind of all the stuff that you need to do just to serve liquor?
It's you understand how bars operate from that point. When you got to realize where food revenue has to be, the capacity of people, certain things. So, we just wanted to make sure we played by the rules. So when we got the call, that we weren't playing by the rules, we were kind of like, oh, wow, we weren't aware. So we just wanted to make sure we got here today to state our case, make sure that now we know how we need to operate. And we want to make sure we do this the appropriate and the proper way. And whatever that means, whatever that takes. And, I am sorry to disappoint you, Kevin, because I did speak with you. You were somebody that did advocate for us. It was not our intention at all. We didn't do this to blindside anybody. We wanted to be on the up and up when it comes to anything. Everybody can tell you, I'm always first to be like, hey, I want to make sure that we're taken care of, so I would do what is necessary to take care of our business. So that's why we're here today.
Well, don't worry. When we opened our first business here, code enforcement just about killed me from the previous code enforcement director. And man, we did things back ass for. It was terrible, man. I'm just telling you flat out. But this is what I'm going to say. I'm inclined to support you, but I need some. We need to make sure we do this right. I've heard zero. Over the time that you guys have been open, I've heard nothing but good things. I've heard zero complaints about your establishment. So that in of itself to me lends some credence to it. But I do think, to me, I go back to the very beginning. I don't think it ever should have been denied in the first place. 4 years ago. Now, we want to make sure that we are very judicious about what we do here in the city. But you've been here for a while, and you are an upstanding business owner. And so, thanks for coming out. Appreciate it, and I'll give it back to you guys. Thank you.
Any more questions while that happens?
One more. Why I came to the planning? Why didn't anybody come to planning and represent and say any of this when the planning revoted on this?
When was planning?
When the July 7th. They all of this was discussed in planning, and y'all there was no one here.
I'm sorry.
And was they notified?
We used the same notifications, the email, the phone number that was on the original application. We received no response. And then once the property manager emailed and said that there was a breach in their contract and they have to work this out, then suddenly those emails and phone numbers were able to work and they were able to contact us.
So you didn't receive any of those? I'm just curious because I was here and all of this was discussed in planning and no one represented y'all. No one even came and spoke. So
no, sure thing. No, I can't say that we did or did not. I get tons of emails, so there are oversights. I'll be honest with that. But the emails that he's responding to happened several weeks later, and I'm just getting direct calls from my realtor, and she's asking me to look into this. And that's when we started getting more information about what we needed to do.
Alderman Quinn.
So I have one more. Okay. Sorry to belabor this point. I have young kids, well, fairly young, and I like to tell them stories from back in the 1900s when I was a kid. And one thing I told them the other day, because they were complaining about, getting a negative point in class for talking. And I talked about, how I got spankings and spankings for getting a spanking and all that stuff, but also, writing on 100 times I will not talk and stuff like that. In the packet we all received, and I remember afterwards, you wrote numerous times, I will not do these things. So I don't understand the disconnect between writing something, an email after email, yes, I will not do all this stuff, and then, I slipped my mind, and I called the state, had them come by. I didn't realize that. So that's just that's just my point is, when you write stuff a bunch of times in emails that you want to do all these things, you'd think it would stick because somebody from your business did make a call to the state after you wrote all the times, 100 times, I will not sell alcohol and do that stuff, and then somebody calls the state and gets it all going. So, the only reason you're caught is because some people on social media are showing the party and the shots and everything like that, so just letting you know, we've seen the emails. Not everybody's seen the emails, so you just be straight up with us.
May I speak?
Yes, sir.
And you're exactly right. Those are things we stated at the time, and at the time that's how we operated. Once we realized that this is how our business grows, then we put in that request. And again, once we started working with inspectors, we thought it was an understanding from Bartlett that this is how we were going to move forward. So it wasn't it was an oversight on our end, but it wasn't an egregious thing of, we're just going to do it anyway. So we just wanted to be clear that it wasn't a situation of dissolution. Things change within in our space. This is how we saw we needed to grow. So once we put in the application to move forward with the ABC license, we just assumed that it was understood. Again, assumption is the killer of things.
Well,
so we should.
It really is because you went through a tedious process, and you would think I have to go through that again.
It was what we needed to do to grow our business, and we're
I know,
going through
and
it
I
again.
understand everybody's like sitting around going, "Hey, we need to sell liquor." I get it. I mean, it's a money maker. But anyway, that's just where I stand.
Alderman Young.
My only concern and question is this was denied before, and it hadn't affected your operation one bit. So if it's denied tonight, will it affect anything you do?
Absolutely.
How will it affect?
Since we've been paused, we lost over $50,000 in business that we would normally.
I didn't know you'd been paused. Somebody catch up with you for doing what you wasn't approved?
Yeah, once they sent the information that said we weren't approved to do this and that we must cease doing what we were doing and only operate as our original business, that's what we've been doing.
Well, it's hard for me to understand how we denied something and it didn't affect anything. And yet you're here tonight asking us
it's
the same.
affected, trust me.
Well,
it's affected.
Alderman Williams?
Okay, so and Alderman Reeves talked about this, so that everybody can understand when it comes to getting a liquor license for a restaurant, because I've done it several times now over, that when you apply for a liquor license, you apply for the state. However, you cannot have a liquor license without an operating bar. A bar requires approval from the health department. There are certain things that you have to have in your bar to even operate a bar. That being a hand sink, like you just said, what you said earlier. Certain things set up in the bar area. So from my understanding and hearing all of this, it was a bar there, but it did not have the mechanics that's needed to run a bar. Okay? So, correct? Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay, so with that being said, you had to call code out to get that sink and all that stuff, because that means pulling a permit, because you have to have a contractor come in and pull in a hand sink, right?
Correct.
License, before they can put that in, they have to pull a permit with code to put the hand sink in, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so hearing all of that, and understanding that you said you would not do this, from that standpoint, I'm asking a question, honestly, it sounds like you're saying you were under the assumption when you did all of that and called in code and said your permit is pulled, putting the sink in, and for code to come out and approve it. At that point, were you under the assumption, whether it be ignorance or not, that now you felt that Bartlett knew what was going on because you had called code?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And just like David said earlier, I will say there is no blueprint. There's so many different steps you have to go through with opening a business. And it's just so people that are listening would know that. It's not cut and dry. It's code, it's called in code again, it's going back for a permit, it's going to the health department over there. There's a lot of places you're shooting out money to get approval to get opened up, and it's no blueprint. So I can understand the misstep. I do believe that you guys should have somewhere in there maybe came up with like, hey, I need to come back to code. But I do understand the misstep in that. And I don't feel like you should be held accountable for that, because I've made some more than my share.
Yes, and just again, like we said, this is our first establishment we've ever tried to open. So we're dealing with so many individuals, and everyone's telling us what we need to do, without us knowing exactly what their jobs are. But hey, you look official, you got a badge, you got a clipboard. So that's how we just came under the assumption that, okay, Bartlett and the council knows what we're doing. It was our surprise when we found out that some people had no clue. So that's why we wanted to make sure we stood up and just made sure that we're not trying to operate outside the confines of what we're saying we're trying to do. We just want to make sure that we take the necessary steps to get what we need so that we can continue what we've been doing.
And I'll be honest with you, if I hadn't opened a business that was a restaurant, there was no way I'd be able to empathize with you. But I do, because I went through a lot of the same things. But the difference being that we got more people involved in the city to help us get it done. You know what I'm saying? And so you probably just went more on your own and got it done. And although you pulled in people at certain times, probably wasn't at the right time or the right way. And again, it goes back to the fact that it's very difficult to open up these types of establishments because there is no blueprint unless somebody's coaching you how to do it. And because we've all made our own missteps, so I get it.
I got it. Is there any more questions for the applicant while he's up here? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Chief Cox, I believe he has something to say.
Alderwoman, we checked the computer, went and talked to our dispatch center, and there's been, in the last 2 years, we've answered 13 calls, 11 of them were in 24, 2 of them in 25. Most of those were noise complaints with a couple disturbances. That's about what we found when we ran their address for this business. Okay. Any questions?
Nope. So you say about how many calls? And there have been noise?
11 calls in 24, which most of those were noise complaints. I had a couple of disturbances that had to be handled. And in 25, there was a suspicious person call. So.
Anyone else have a question for Chief while he's up?
There's only been one call this year, a suspicious person.
That's right.
Who's next door to the?
There's a whole complex. So
yeah,
there's,
I know American Tuxedo and some of those others over there, right?
I'm not sure exactly who's next door to that facility. But,
okay.
But that complex is a full complex.
Gotcha. Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Whew. Any more discussion? Any more questions, Madam Clerk? Place the roll before the Alderman. It's tied. I abstain. So resolution 2925 fails. And Madam Clerk, will you read item number 3 into the record, please?
Resolution 30-25, a resolution approving a special use permit to allow residential mixed-use development to be located at the northeast corner of New Brunswick Road and Highway 64 within the CH Highway Business Zoning District.
Move we approve. Put it up before us.
So they have a presentation they present. Okay, we can. If we got a motion, do we have a second? We have a motion, second. Will the developer group come up? May answer some questions in discussion.
Okay. Good evening. Blake Brinson, 210 East Morris Avenue, Hammond, Louisiana. We've put together some material that we'd like to review with you all and spend a few minutes presenting, and be happy to address any questions afterwards. Our engineering firm is here as well to answer any additional information. But and who's controlling the slides? Just so I know. Okay, gotcha. We can go to the next. Just wanted to take some time here before we discuss the project in a little bit more detail to introduce ourselves. Like I said, my name is Blake Brinson with the Stoa Group. We're the developer behind the proposed project, the Waters at Bartlett. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of background on our company and what we do, our expertise and our experience. But we are a Louisiana-based developer of mixed-use and residential communities. Based in Louisiana, but we develop across the southeast. The map that you see on the screen is a number of properties that we are either currently developing or have developed. And we're a vertically integrated group, meaning our construction and our property management team is in-house. And really at the end of the day, what that allows us to do is control our entire process. It's something we put a lot of time and effort in to ultimately build luxury communities with a mix of uses between residential and commercial uses. And having those divisions in-house has allowed us to win a number of different awards. Some of them were displayed on the screen above. But a number of our communities rank top in their state in terms of their scores with respective management firms. And it's something that having those services in-house, again, allows us to control and allows us to operate top-notch communities. The slide in front of you, the mixed-use communities offering complementary uses, we have been a long believer of developing mixed-use communities because of what you see between the residential uses and the commercial uses. As the slide says, complementary uses really, with residential uses, you have a built-in consumer base for the commercial, and the commercial has a built-in consumer base with the residences, and the residences have the opportunity to go work, live, and play all within the same community. What you see on the screen are a number of different examples of communities that we've developed across the Southeast in a number of different states where we've taken this exact same approach, either plugging into already existing commercial nodes or bringing those commercial nodes to those respective communities. You can go to that next slide. And so what has that ultimately led to? We wanted to share some demographic data with you all just to give everyone a little bit better sense of what we're seeing within our communities. This data is pulled from the existing leases that we have within our current operating communities. And ultimately, what the takeaway is on this slide is we're seeing a lot more renters that are choosing to rent than to buy. We have a very affluent tenant base within our communities. Our median household income of one of our units is roughly 45% greater than that respective area's median household income, to help paint that story a little bit better. And then in terms of age, it's what you see nationwide across these kind of residential units. That average renter is somewhere between 18 to 37 years old. It's a young professional. It's just that we're able to capture a more affluent young professional. We think a big part of that is because of the effort we put into finding more of these mixed-use communities, which is exactly what we're here presenting to you all today. If you go to, next slide, please. And so to talk a little bit about this site specifically and how we go about some of our site selection, there's a number of things that we're looking for when building these mixed-use communities, and it's exactly why we think this site is a great fit for it. And the first is the immediate submarket and what it has to offer. Does our tenant base, the people that look to live in our communities, are they going to fit in with the greater submarket? And the answer for the city of Bartlett is yes. You have a more affluent demographic here with a higher median household income than the national average. And so we know that the tenants that are going to be wanting to come and live in our communities fit the submarket of the city. The second is having proximity to major transportation nodes. And so with I-40 and Highway 64, you have two major traffic arteries. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that with our engineer, but we've got nearly 37,000 daily cars on 64 and nearly 80,000 on 40. And so what this provides is a tremendous amount of visibility to the site. Retailers chase that kind of traffic, and retailers also trace rooftops. And what we have found from developing a number of these communities is that when you position both the commercial and the residential uses near these higher traffic corridors, we're able to increase the quality of tenants that come within the communities, both on the residential side as well as the commercial side. And the next is proximity near quality uses. People want to live and work near other quality uses. We've highlighted a number of them on the map you see above, but we're looking for quality employment centers, medical centers, other quality retailers. These are all different site selection exercises that other commercial users go through when looking to figure out where they want to position their company. So it's something we look at when developing these mixed-use communities. And then the last is, what does the adjacent zoning tell us about the area? And we think that the zoning map here tells us that this site is meant to be a mixed-use site. You have residential uses to one side of us, and then we are currently zoned CH and in a heavier commercial use area. It would make sense, and what we typically see is a natural transition out of residential into commercial, and the answer to that is mixed use. It is a natural transition point from more residential into heavy commercial, and we think this site, being right on the edge, offers the ability to be that mixed use community for this node of Bartlett. You can go to the next slide, please. And so what are we ultimately looking at? It's a 25-acre site that we really envision as a walkable, luxury, intertwined mix of uses between commercial frontage and residential units. In total, it's going to be roughly 25,000 square feet of flexible retail space, which we'll talk about more in a minute, in 312 residential units. As Sam mentioned, there is a creek that divides the property, and something that we spent some time figuring out how to really create the best number of access points and increase green space. We'll talk about a little bit more in a minute, but as well as the amenities. A highly amenitized community that we have found attracts these affluent younger renters. We can go to the next slide.
Can I stop you for a second? And of course. I'm sorry, this is just the way that I operate.
Should we go back to?
No, well, I want to ask you a question, and it kind of flows with this, if it's okay. Is the reason you picked Bartlett because you feel like it's underserved from an apartment viewpoint? I mean, when you guys looked at your numbers, How did you decide that this is the place that you wanted to be?
We're going to get into that.
Okay, perfect.
In a few slides. And happy to speak to it more
go
if
ahead.
that's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. First, going to touch on retail very quickly. We've engaged some local expertise on the retail side to just better understand the demand within the market, especially with the site, given its close proximity to Highway I-40 and Highway 64. And the overwhelming sentiment has been there's going to be a lot of attraction from high-quality retailers to come to this site. There's people that want to be near I-40 or off of I-40. They just can't find available land to go to or available sites. And so we took a quick look at basically three different radiuses, a 1.5, 3 mile, and 5 mile radius of retail product now that's been built in the past 5 years. We really consider 1.5 miles probably the true competition for this site, given the fact that it's all interstate adjacent. And what you'll see is there's been a little bit of inventory built in the past 5 years, but there is 0% vacancy. There's nowhere for those interested groups to come. And so we think that there's an opportunity to deliver quality retail to the front of this community and allow those higher quality commercial uses to come in, because there's no option today. And then, of course, when you expand out a little bit more, 3 miles, the inventory rockets up to over 200,000 square feet built in the past 5 years, but there's still very little availability with sub 3% vacancy. And then ultimately, as you work out to 5 miles, you're probably going to find some retail spacing or inventory that was built in areas it probably shouldn't have. You see vacancy go up a little bit, but it's really 12 months away from having another strong absorption year of 22,500 square feet, which would drop that vacancy rate. So the numbers don't really tell the full story on the 5 mile radius. If we go to the next. So just some inspirational images and ideas of what we really envision for this retail frontage. Again, this is the land that is fronting 64, as well as kind of the mix of the number 7 there at the top, which would be in front of the residential uses. But we really envision this as purpose-built for tenant needs, meaning allowing tenants to come in and dictate the kind of space that they need and having that space be built rather than having a tenant need to conform to an existing space. And we think there's a number of different aesthetics and architectural elements that we can take for this, and happy to go through that as we continue to work through this process. But ultimately, something that feels a little bit more local, again, really having a comprehensive feel and architectural requirements and design guidelines that are going to fit and really blend between both the commercial and the residential uses. Next slide. And so what does this mean for the residential? David, to the question you asked earlier, yes. One of the things that we looked at, when we broadly looked at just the Memphis MSA, it was like, okay, where are we seeing rents that we typically command in our communities, and where can we go? And we saw some projects in Bartlett that were happening, some of the newer developments, that were very impressive in terms of the rent capture that they were able to find. And so we started looking more in Bartlett because we hadn't seen a lot of supply brought into this market compared to other markets over the past 10 years or so. And as we continued to dig in, we started to understand that there's a discrepancy here between the discount to own versus rent, which is very interesting. And so when you look at the median home value in Bartlett and what it costs to own that home, I mean, if you have the money to put 20% down, which many people don't, you're looking at, in today's market, over $2,000 a month to own that home, where we can come in, build luxury living in mixed-use environments, offer a variety of different uses and bring tremendous value to the community, and offer a discount to what that cost is to own. And you'll see some of the other communities, some that are recently built and that are currently going through lease up, that are capturing very strong rents for what we would consider in this suburban type product, but are still at a discount to the cost of ownership in the city. And so we think there's an opportunity here to attract a younger, more affluent demographic into the city of Bartlett, and not require them to go buy a house, but give them the option to go live in one of these luxury mixed-use communities. And it's worth noting that the rents you see on the screen, that comes with a number of amenities in our community and the communities that have been built recently with these resort-style amenities. We'll talk about those in a minute here. But did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Next slide, please. So just some initial renderings that we wanted to share and discuss a little bit in terms of how we laid out the residences. Again, 312 units with a healthy blended mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. The 3 bedrooms are only 12%. We typically stay around 10 to 12% of total units being 3 bedrooms. The vast majority are 1 and 2s. Really thoughtful design. We spent a lot of time on this, namely because of the boulevard that we had to pull through the site, and we'll touch on that at the end of the presentation. But it forced us to think how we could activate a number of outdoor areas, how we'd create walkability, not only within the residential component of the project, but also throughout the entire community. We wanted to have these activated courtyards. It's something that we try to incorporate in all of our projects. There's premium views for privatized space and backyards that we're able to incorporate on some of these units. We were really thoughtful about the landscape buffers and how far we could push these buildings back. We spent a lot of time with our architect site planning and trying to figure out how to reduce the visibility of the residential buildings from New Brunswick Road. And so we worked to push those buildings back and then illustrate a thicker landscape buffer so that the road, which will ultimately be the rerouted Brunswick Road, really feels like the primary access and what you see and feel as you drive through this community. It's not going to be just residential units. You're going to feel more of this intertwined mix of uses between commercial and residential, but not let the residential be so prominent within the community. Next slide. And so what kind of goes into these units? What brings this again more affluent and younger tenant into these apartments? It's the fact that they're luxurious and they have that feel. They offer the luxury living. I mean, stainless steel appliances and tiled backsplashes, granite countertops, large functional kitchen islands, washers and dryers included in units, not having to go rent them or buy them and stick them in your unit, not having to go down to a basement and stick coins in a machine-operated machine to do your laundry. It's included in your rent. It's included in your unit. It's ease of access. In-suite bathrooms and walk-in closets. These are all the things that people are demanding today that they want to see in their units, and it's something we offer in all of the communities that we build. Next slide, please. And you know, outside of what the in-unit amenities are, these are standard amenities that go into the community. They're communal amenities for the tenants that are residing within the community. It's resort-style pool with these lounge cabanas, outdoor grilling stations, and outdoor activated game areas. It's to create a sense of community for people to come home to meet others within the community, and it gives them things that they wouldn't have if they just owned a home. The co-working space is something that last year we incorporated in all of the clubhouses that we developed. The clubhouse here will be 8,000 square feet. It'll have co-working space, a 1,200 square foot gym, a resident community kitchen where we offer free coffee and have a free beverage machine, a game room with pool tables and ping pong tables and shuffleboards. So these are the kinds of amenities that are being built into these communities that are attracting this younger demographic and, again, this more affluent demographic to come live within these mixed-use communities. In our last slide, really what this means for the Bartlett community and how we see the positive impact here. And that's, at the end of the day, it's a $61 million investment on our company's behalf into the community of Bartlett, bringing roughly 25,000 square feet of really well thought out retail that we think there's pent up demand for, and 312 luxury rental units that we have a track record and data behind of bringing a more affluent tenant base in to help bring that young professional market to the city of Bartlett. This land is zoned CH. It's meant to be put into commerce, and right now it has a lot of challenges that are preventing that. And Sam spoke on it with the creek that divides the property and some of the infrastructure improvements that have to go in here. These are infrastructure improvements that we're going to carry the burden of. We're going to incorporate them into the project. We're going to pay for them. We're not going to ask for any kind of incentive or public contribution to do it. We're going to take them head on, and that includes the termination of New Brunswick Road and Brunswick Road, which we understand to be a dangerous intersection, and the rerouting of that road. Nearly 1,500 feet of a rerouted boulevard which I mentioned earlier, we had to be really thoughtful about how this community laid out because of that, rerouting that boulevard, crossing the creek, and then ultimately realigning Brunswick Road with Wolf Lake Drive and putting in a traffic signal there to better control traffic. And then lastly, installing sewer holding tanks, which have to go into the site for any development to happen on the site. All of that is, nearly $4 million that we plan to take on as part of the project. And the last, but certainly not least bit is the taxes and the new revenue that will be generated in property taxes for the city. We estimate at least $250,000 a year, and we threw some statistics up there so you can see how that can help expand certain city services based on some salary data we were able to pull. But that's expanded city services and contribution to the continued growth of the city. So that concludes my part of the presentation. Thank you. We appreciate the time to be here. Appreciate you all listening to our presentation. Happy to answer any questions. And our engineer, Michael Rogers, is here to talk a little bit about some of the traffic associated with the site and answer any questions on that part.
Michael Rogers, Fisher Arnold, 9180 Crestwind Hills Drive. I just wanted to quickly address some of the traffic comments that I think it was Miss Richards made, and also you got an email on that I sent to John a little bit. I think one thing is a little bit of a misunderstanding in what they stated and some inaccuracies, and I just wanted to straighten those up. The number one thing is in the staff report, it talks about the traffic study that was done for Hy-Vee. We did for Hy-Vee back in 23. And a lot of the comments are based on that because the Hy-Vee traffic study did show the signal at US 64 in Brunswick going from a level D, level of service D, to a level of service E. However, Hy-Vee would have generated 10,000 daily trips. These apartments will generate 2,000 daily trips, 1/5 of what Hy-Vee would start. And so the traffic numbers in there are meaningless when it comes to this development. When we come back, as we hope we do, we hope you approve a special use permit. When we come back with a traffic study, we'll get more detailed into that and be looking at it, but we'll be dealing with a lot less traffic. And so it would not do that. But some of the inaccuracies in there, for instance, the comment was made on dangerous situation when really they were talking about level of service. Level of service doesn't directly mean dangerous or not dangerous. Level of service simply means how much longer it's going to take to get through a traffic signal. The dangerous situation is Old Brunswick tying into New Brunswick right on top of 64. And in our discussions when we come through with Hy-Vee, it was without question, not only from Bartlett, from your engineering staff, and those we talked to Bartlett, from Shelby County, from TDOT, all agreed wholeheartedly it needs to be cut off from New Brunswick. And so this plan would solve a dangerous situation and make it a safer situation, as Blake alluded to, of bringing the boulevard through and coming to a traffic signal further away that would do a better job with the traffic. But as we go through that, I think we'll find out the likelihood. So the Hy-Vee would have required some improvements to the Highway 64 Brunswick Road. Until we go to the traffic study full blown, we won't know to what degree, but in talking to my traffic guy, it's highly unlikely any improvements would be needed with this development. But that would be a part of what we'd present this board when we came back. And if in fact the study said there had to be some improvements, that would be something I would fully expect the Bartlett to require conditions of approval as we move forward. And so we would do that. The other thing in talking about that, and there were some misunderstandings about what can and can't be done to a road. There was a lot of statements about you got to get things prioritized and all that. That's simply not true. That's alluding to publicly state-funded work. Private development that comes through, I've worked on countless private developments, including here in Bartlett. The assisted living up on Highway 70. We had to do improvements to Highway 70. That's a TDOT right-of-way. Because it was not state-funded, we didn't have to go through a priority process. Yes, we had to go through a process with TDOT to submit those plans and get them approved. But because the developer was making the payments It's not some long out years thing, as they alluded to in the email. It's something that the developer would have to incur the cost. Also, City of Memphis does not control that intersection. City of Memphis owns from the center line of Bartlett north, from the center line of 64 south, Bartlett owns from the center line north. But really, TDOT, as we all know, controls it. We'd have to go through a TDOT process, but it also, yes, we would have to go through both the City of Memphis and the City of Bartlett with any improvements for approval. But that's typical process of something we've done on developments all along. In terms of Old Brunswick Road, Shelby County's attorney and their county engineers told me it's not our road. We don't maintain it. We don't want it. Y'all can do what you want with it. TDOT said, we don't care about the road. You can do what you want. It is in our right-of-way. We'll give you permits to work in the right-of-way. So it really comes down to what you, as a city, wants with that road. And I think we all agree the thing that needs to happen is it be cut off from New Brunswick and be directed away. And so I just wanted to clarify some of those that contrary to what was said in the email and contrary to what's believed, I don't think what we're proposing is making a more dangerous situation. I think it's making a far better situation. And so we'll be glad to answer any questions you have about that.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Anybody have comments or questions for either Blake or Mr. Rogers? Hearing none. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Hearing no more discussion, Madam Clerk. It's been a while. We had a motion and a second. I have checked. Okay. Resolution 3025 passes 4-2. We have been a little over an hour and 40 minutes. And I'd like to just recess for 3 minutes, and then we'll pick back up. So we're going to go out of recess for We will call the board meeting back into session, and everybody's back in the pit down there? Okay, good. So the next item on the agenda was the consent agenda. Any member of the board may remove any item for separate discussion. Does any member of the board wish to remove one of the two items for separate discussion? Hearing no board member wishing to remove anything, Madam Clerk, will you read items 1 and 2 into the record, please?
Item 1, proposal for citywide pest control services. Item 2, bid for annual paving operations and pavement marking projects.
Move we approve.
Second.
Been properly motioned and discussed and been properly seconded. There is no discussion on this particular item. Madam Clerk. Consent agenda passes 6-0, unanimous. We now move to new business. Madam Clerk, will you read item number 1 into the record for new business?
Resolution 28-25, a resolution to approve the Industrial Development Board of the City of Bartlett, Tennessee's First Amendment to the Economic Impact Plan for the Union Depot Mixed-Use Development Tax Increment Financing Application.
At this time, Mr. Sam Harris, you're recognized.
What's before you this evening is a resolution affirming the revision of the existing TIF for the Union Depot area. As is, it's just a TIF, and the boundary area is strictly around the original Union Depot area. What this revised TIF is doing is essentially expanding the boundaries to incorporate Union Depot Phase 1A, as well as the additional development area that was identified by the Mid-South Safety Action Plan as having some unsafe intersections. And essentially, this item went before the Industrial Development Board at the August 7th meeting as a public hearing. And at the Industrial Development Board meeting, they are forwarding you a favorable recommendation to approve this TIF revision.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Would the developer like to come forward now?
Mayor and Board, my name is Dexter Muller, and I'm a 30-year resident of the area in Bartlett. I only became a Bartlett resident about 5 years ago when you annexed the area around Brunswick Road. But when I first moved out to Brunswick Road, Wolf Chase was not there. I actually, almost nothing was on Highway 64 out that far, and really just pretty much east of Highway 70. I've spent about a 40-year career in planning and economic development, both with the City of Memphis and Shelby County, then at the Memphis Chamber of Commerce. And I've worked also for numerous cities in West Tennessee, up in Tipton County, Fayette County, Haywood County. And I think what you see is Bartlett for years has watched Germantown, Collierville grow a lot more than Bartlett has. And now you've seen Arlington and Lakeland and even Millington begin to really accelerate their growth. I think now Bartlett, as you see, because of new developments that are taking place, that I look at it like this is Bartlett's time. There are opportunities for development, and this, I believe, is a way of taking advantage of it through this tax increment financing. I just wanted to highlight a little bit about the basics of the TIFs. They really are an essential tool that has been not that significantly used in Shelby County until about the last 5 or 10 years. In Nashville, Knoxville, and Chattanooga, it really was their incentive of choice, and that's the way they've done an awful lot of development in their downtown and in other places around their city. Memphis has done about 10 to 12 TIFs. Lakeland's done 4. Millington's done 3 or 4. Arlington has once it's approved. Germantown's going through one now. Galloway, Tennessee. So you've seen that in West Tennessee and particularly in Shelby County, it's become a main source of trying to make developments happen. What's happening today is the market conditions are very difficult to try to navigate with. The interest rates are high. Construction costs since COVID in many cases have doubled. And so the market demand has been hard to meet because it's hard to make projects functional and feasible. One key thing is that there's, I think, a misconception sometimes. No property owner within the boundaries of the TIF pays anything more than they would ordinarily pay. There's no assessment that's beyond what their normal taxes are. The other thing is that the developer and the project pay 100% of the taxes that they are due. So whatever amount is that is due because of the values of the property, that's what they pay. The difference is that a portion of the taxes that they pay end up being used to pay for public infrastructure. It's only basically the horizontal. Doesn't include any buildings, doesn't include any amenities, pools or tennis courts or anything like that. It's only the public infrastructure that ends up being owned by the public, and it's for the public's benefit. In addition to this one, the Union Depot, the first phase, opened up the opportunity for this because those properties sat there, both the Tennessee Baptist Children's Home, and without having the sewer extensions that had previously been made, this site would still be having a challenge. I knew the owner of this property that bought it, I think, maybe 40 years ago. And as a planner, I've watched this property thinking there's going to be a time when this comes. I mean, that's kind of the major gateway into Bartlett, and it ought to be developed. And this is, I think, the best opportunity to make that happen. With that, I'll turn it over to Kim Brown to give you more details about the actual development itself. Thank you.
Thanks, Dexter. I'm actually going to let Keith go first, and I'll go after Keith.
Next, Keith Grant, 177 Crescent Drive in Collierville. So appreciate y'all's consideration on this. And we'll just start with Union Depot, just an update of our current status. This is what the original Union Depot and the TIF is currently on, that we have an agreement with y'all on currently. Just a quick update. We've been leasing well at the Westerly. We have approximately 90 leases already signed out there, very close to 100 at this point. We only have the clubhouse building and the first large building up front completely done. We're starting to open sections of the building in the back here shortly. It may already have one wing open to it. I've had good sales on the townhomes. The townhomes opened up. We just put our first 16 units out there in the first two buildings. And we've sold out one of the buildings as of this past weekend, and we have 2 units remaining in the other, so we decided to start the next 2 buildings moving forward. And then in the back, we've started at least 6 homes at this point. We've actually sold 4 and have 4 left. 2 of them are actually started 8 because we got some pre-sales that were going. So we've sold 4 homes at this point. All of this was just started on the construction side in February. So we're pretty happy with the way our sales are progressing through that area also. And at Station Lofts, which y'all have approved, is the mixed-use building. It'll be coming on. We'll be starting here by the end of the year is our plan for that section. So I just wanted to give you all a quick update on that. And then if you'll flip to the next one, you all have seen this. This is just the current site plan that you all approved the special use permit for last month. That includes the 360 additional lofts and with mixed use below, and the location for the grocery store, and also approximately 40 townhomes over there. So appreciate it, and I'll hand it over to Kim this time.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mayor, Alderman, and Alderwoman. So thank you for having us tonight. After the IDB meeting, a young lady came up to us afterward, and she said that she would have appreciated the chance to ask questions and us answer them, like to have that kind of forum. And so that got us thinking that we need to create a platform to where people could do just that. And so last week we launched Union Depot Facebook page. Since then, it's been 5 days, it has had 22,000 views. That is amazing. It's staggering. And what it's enabled us to do is to field questions and help clear up some things that weren't quite accurate in a public forum. So I just wanted to let you know that has been going on. We have been working to answer a lot of the questions. It's been great. It really, really has. I did want to read just 4 of kind of our top questions, some things that we've been getting, and answer those for everybody, just in case you don't have Facebook. One of the big questions we get is, what is the city and county's risk with this TIF? There is 0 financial risk to the city of Bartlett or Shelby County. The loan is issued through the IDB, but it is fully guaranteed by the developer, not the city. The city and county are not responsible if the project were to default. The developer assumes all risks. So that was a very common question we were getting. Another one, does the TIF raise taxes? No, it does not. There is a rumor going around that Bartlett's recent tax increase was tied to this project. In other words, the tax increase y'all approved a couple of months ago, that simply it was going to go to us to line our pockets. That's simply false. The TIF does not increase the tax rate and does not use any of the city's current tax revenue. Instead, it allows a portion of the new property tax revenue that is created by the development to be reinvested into public infrastructure. Residents' taxes remain exactly the same. In fact, the project adds new sales tax and property tax revenue streams that help the city keep taxes lower in the future. All right, another question we got, what does funding the debt service mean? I think a lot of people assumed that the debt service fee goes to paying our debt. That is not true. This is actually a statutory requirement by the state of Tennessee. Approximately 6% of all new taxes collected in the TIF area are allocated to the city of Bartlett to help pay down existing debt that the city already carries for things like schools, public buildings, and prior infrastructure projects. This has nothing to do with Union Depot. It's simply a way to help reduce Bartlett's existing obligations. And then the last questions, we had many, many more, but this is another good one that we got, is why is this project a good candidate for TIF financing? This property has sat vacant for over 40 years. Multiple projects have fallen through because of the unusually high cost of the public infrastructure required. I think everybody in this room has heard a list of some of the things that have tried to go there, and whenever they get into it, it just doesn't work. With the TIF, new property tax dollars generated by the Union Depot and paid by us, the developer, can be used to fund the roads, sewer, drainage, sidewalks, very expensive traffic signals needed to make this project viable. Without a TIF, this property will likely continue to sit vacant for the future. With the TIF, also the current revenue the city is getting off of this property, if it continues to sit vacant, is $3,000 a year. With the TIF, Bartlett gains a $95 million private investment, a new grocery store, new restaurants and retail, millions in infrastructure, millions in new tax revenue, all without raising taxes or taking a single risk for the city of Bartlett or its taxpayers. All right, that's all I've got, and I'm actually going to turn it over. Thank you. All right, if we can go to the next slide. Oh, let me just say, this is the new TIF boundary. This is just showing the new TIF boundary expanded. This just shows what's in the project. We've got 40 townhomes and single family, 360 lofts, 20,000 square feet of retail, 20,000 square feet food and beverage, 50,000 square feet of grocery, with a projected total value of a little over $95 million. Thank you. All right, next I'm going to introduce Lana with Younger and Associates.
Hi, my name is Lana Suit. Do you need my address? 97 Directors Row, Jackson.
Ma'am, would you speak into the mic so I can...
Okay, I'm sorry. Is that better? Okay. It makes me nervous if I stand closer to the microphone. Is that better? Okay. Well, I wanted to tell you a little bit about Younger Associates. That's really not why you're here tonight, but I wanted to let you know what we do to lend some validity to the study that we've completed about this project. We are a market research company. We are 35 years old. I've been with the company for 30 of those, and we do economic development research. In fact, about 90% of our work is in support of economic development. We're either working on the side of the developer, the county, the IDB, or the city. So the city of Bartlett, we've actually worked with them on some other projects. I think most of the projects that Dexter mentioned, the TIF analysis for Shelby County, we've had some involvement in. It's really a unique set of research, but we do try to help cities and counties determine if the investment is a good return. And so that's what we did with this analysis that I'm just going to go over a few of the slides with you tonight. So it's really twofold, the analysis. The first part was just simply to do an economic impact analysis. What does it look like when this is fully built out? So we looked at first was the total economic impact. I have to tell you that I'm going to throw a lot of numbers at you tonight in just a few short slides, but please know this is very condensed. I think the report is probably 40, 50 pages, a lot of calculations. So I'm trying to boil down to the totals and the ones that are most significant. So the economic impact is $104.5 million annually when this is fully built out. Now you go, okay, that's a big number. What does that mean? That particular number is just the total dollars that flow through the local economy. That would be wages, taxes, downstream spending. So that's just all the dollars that turn over in the Bartlett and Shelby County economy because of the operations of the tenants of this development. It's going to support, we project, about 690 jobs. Now, I know you think, well, that sounds like a lot of jobs, and it is a lot of jobs. If that was a new industry coming in with 690 jobs, you would be very excited. But you should get just as excited about these. Now, these aren't specific to the city of Bartlett. Of course, the ones that are employed by the tenants that are on site, of course, they're going to be in Bartlett, but some of the support jobs will be in other parts of Shelby County. Wages, the next thing that we look at, and this is still a part of that $104.5 million. That's the annual wages, and it's projected to be about $24 million annually. Some people go, well, that sounds like a lot of wages. Well, if you do the math, it's going to be somewhere around $16, $17 an hour on average. So some of those would be below, some of those would be well above. And another thing that's very important, I know, for cities is sales tax. So there are some retail components of this that will be generating retail sales, and you will capture those sales tax. And we project the direct that's captured on site and the indirect from the additional spending because of those jobs is about $820,000 a year. So I know that you could probably find lots of ways to utilize that money here in the city of Bartlett. So let's talk about what it does mean to the city of Bartlett. If we look at, I think Kim mentioned it, the number I have up here, the $20,118, that's actually the 2024 property taxes. And I think she said it's just over $3,000 now. Well, when we project out 20 years, when it's fully built out, it should be around $500,000 per year. So you can see there is a substantial increase in what the property is yielding now in property tax and what it will be when it's fully built out. So that's something significant to remember. So let's recap that. That's going to total about $1.7 million annually to the city of Bartlett. And those numbers come from the $820,000 that you see in sales tax, about $500,000 in property tax. And then because of this, there's some other things that happen out in the local economy that we know based on historic trends. That will be another $350,000 in fees and other taxes that will be generated locally. So that 1.7 is an annual number that would be realized by the city of Bartlett. Let's talk about that net new property tax, because we talked about what it was paying now. Over the course of a 20-year period, and we actually did ramp this up, we didn't say in day one that everything would be built out at one time. So for the city of Bartlett, over a 20-year period, it's projected to produce about $8.5 million in property taxes. And for the Shelby County, 13.8, for a total of $22.3 million over the course of the 20-year period. I'm going to ask you to remember that $8.5 million number, because we're going to come back to that in just a minute. The second part of the project that we were supposed to look at was, well, that impact looks great. This is a very good project. Who wouldn't want that in their city? But we also wanted to say, let's look at this. If we offered a TIF incentive, which again, she mentioned there's no risk to the city, if we granted the TIF and we allowed them to take some of that incremental tax and use it for some of the infrastructure costs that are needed, what would that look like? So we wanted to mirror the original agreement. It's 75% designated to the TIF, and then as Kim mentioned, that the debt service is required to be withheld by the state of Tennessee, because the state wants to make sure that cities and counties pay their debt. So that's one thing that they do. Yes, we'll let you use this instrument to incentivize a project, but you've got to hold back the debt service because we want to make sure that the cities pay their bills. So that's what that debt service number is. So if we granted a TIF, what would that look like? What would that mean to the city of Bartlett? Well, over the course of the 20-year period, these would be things that during the TIF period would be coming to the city of Bartlett. $240,000 in admin fees. That could be utilized for any expenses associated with it. That's not me to get into how that money is spent, but that's what that money would be designated for. $500,000 in debt service and $1.8 million of taxes that would actually be paid and come to the city of Bartlett. So in the TIF, we're not giving away all the money like some people think you're doing. TIFs are very good instruments because they do help protect the city. So if you remember, what did we say? You were getting $8.5 million. That's how much it generated. The city's going to get somewhere around $2.5 million. So over that course of time, it's not like you're just sitting there not getting anything. You were only getting $3,000. So with the project and with the TIF, you're still getting about $2.5 million. So it is a win for this city. We also looked at what a TIF would mean for Shelby County. That's probably not as important to you guys, but they have similar concerns. So we wanted to make sure that we are protecting the county as well. So we looked at what that would mean to the county. Finally, I'd like to wrap up with, if you remember that there was that $22 million number when you added the city of Bartlett and Shelby County together, when we look at 75% of that being designated to this TIF fund that's created, you can see that over the 20-year period, that's a significant amount of money. But we're not buying that infrastructure or constructing that infrastructure over a 20-year period. We need it today. It needs to be in the ground first. So we have to look at what that money means in today's dollars. And in today's dollars, we estimate that that would be about $7.8 million. So how is that money used? That money is used for the public infrastructure. I've just got a couple of examples down there. It could be public utility, public roads, sidewalks, lighting. So those are some of the things that you could utilize those funds for. Finally, one of the most important things, I think, if you work this side clockwise, you will see there's a little green box there that says the benefit to cost ratio is $4.60 to $1. What that number means is for every dollar that Bartlett and Shelby County put into the TIF fund, they get a return of $4.60. So that's a pretty good return on investment. So I just wanted to share the highlight, just the overview numbers with you. As I said, I know that's a lot of numbers, but if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer those. I believe, Steve, go to you.
That it.
So I'll kind of talk about specifically the additional development area. Before we do that, I want to jump into just the boundaries that are up there first. So currently, as you all know, there is a TIF on Phase 1, which is highlighted there in blue, and that encompasses the existing Union Depot development. What's before you tonight is an extension to extend those boundaries into Phase 2, which is labeled in red, which is Union Depot First Edition. And then what we're going to discuss is the additional development area, which is labeled there in yellow. Now, this will go from four-way, so Highway 64 and Highway 70, kind of southwest, along Highway 70 to Kirby-Whitten, and then north on Kirby-Whitten just before Kirby Lake subdivision. That entire area, as all of you know, has been a focus of community or commercial development throughout the duration of your tenure here for the majority of you. And that expands all the way down Stage Road. But what you might not know is behind the curtain has been a lot of focus on improving traffic safety within that specific area. So the point here of this and what's before you now in this additional area is to try to use some of that incremental TIF revenue to address those safety concerns. I'll talk about it in just a minute, but one will include the implementation of the Mid-South Action Plan. Additionally, some high crash zones that are within this specific area. We'll also talk about some long-term planning to reduce crashes, advance mobility, and increase some business development along that Stage Road corridor, and then, of course, some sustainable growth within Union Depot adjacent to it. If we go to the next slide, Jeremy. So the Mid-South Action Plan was comprised by the Metropolitan Planning Organization. Basically what it is just a compilation of crash data from all participating communities. And what it's doing is just simply identifying high crash corridors and then offering some safety disparities that are there, and then most importantly, offering recommendations to address targeted improvements. And why that's so important to us is because 3 of the 5 highest crash risk intersections in the city of Bartlett fall within this additional development area, most specifically Stage and Kirby Whitten, Stage and Summer Avenue, and Summer Avenue and Kirby Whitten. So the city has already initiated some safety improvement pursuits, which I'll talk about in just a second. But again, the point being to try to utilize some of this recurring revenue to strengthen and accelerate the efforts that we've already begun, and also to support a long-term plan to promote public safety as traffic along Stage Road continues to grow. We go to the next slide, Jeremy. So some of these things could be as simple as mask arms or smart sensors or enhanced lighting. Those are just some of the very small but expensive strategies that were offered up by the SAP. These can be also as elaborate as smart signal timing, some real-time traffic management, and/or pedestrian refuge islands. All of these things we would be able to use with TIF funding. We could apply that directly to these areas. Additionally, we could take that TIF funding and augment grants. So one grant that we're pursuing currently was submitted for in the spring was the SS4A grant. So that's the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. And basically the first phase of this would provide a plan for us to implement all of those SAP strategies along the entire Stage Road corridor. And then we could come back next year, same time, and apply for funding to actually go forward and start moving forward with those specific pursuits, using potentially this TIF revenue to help augment our portion of those costs. But I don't want to just talk about what we could actually do with it. I'd kind of like to show you. So there is a local example. If we could kind of pull up Google Earth, we'll go take a little tour here of Highland and Midland. So Jeremy, if you turn the screen just to the right, you're going to see a development here, which is called Highland Row. No, there you go. All right, so this is the mixed-use development, right, that went in. And when this goes in, it goes in with a TIF. And that TIF had been applied to improve the intersection. So if you'll scroll back just to show the intersection. So obviously, the University of Memphis area, they're going to have a little bit different issues than we're going to have, but pedestrian traffic is one of them. So what you'll notice here is a lot of pedestrian crossways. They got bollards here for traffic as they're waiting. You've got some masked arms that are there, enhanced lighting. All of these things were suggested in this SAP plan, and this is kind of showing a practical use of how it's been applied somewhere locally to give you an idea. Span back before this development had come to fruition, if you'll scroll right again, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. They had just kind of broke ground here and they're getting started, and then scroll back to that intersection and you see the difference between what it looked like before, and then if you'll scroll back to that, just press on that first picture, and to what it looks like today. I'm going to take you down just a little bit to go to, will you click that next one? There you go. All right, so this is the Highland Strip. We're all familiar with this area. Now, the problems that they're having here are not problems that we're necessarily having here in Bartlett, but the goal being to show you an idea of how this can be tangibly applied. So here what they did is they did what's called a road diet. So essentially you come in, you're going to lay out some median strips, you've got some pedestrian refuge lanes, you've got all these little walking trails, you've got the masked arms that are kind of showcasing people and pedestrian foot traffic that's already there. Not only does this improve safety and it's going to make significant advancements there, but the other piece is just the streetscape improvements that you're going to see in and of itself. And if we could scroll, if we could pick on that next picture, go back a few years, this is what it looked like before any of these improvements. And I want to draw your attention to the businesses to your left. So look at those businesses at that point, and now look at those businesses today. So a significant difference, and what you're seeing is not only are those improvements helping to provide some additional revenue to move forward with that, but a lot of those facade improvements are also a part of this, and they're just pairing this TIF revenue with those additional resources to try to advance areas and advance them quicker. So again, not anything that we would do necessarily specifically here in Bartlett, but certainly an example that you could look at of how this practice has been applied. If we go back to the PowerPoint, I'll kind of wrap up real fast. So just to go beyond safety, just talk a little bit about growth. So everybody on this board has identified retail and dining options, commercial growth as a priority. That was backed up by a University of Memphis independent survey, which everybody that responded to that was wanting pretty much more of everything. And additionally, it was reinforced by Bartlett Station Commission, which extended those incentive boundaries all the way down the Stage Road corridor to pursue this. Additionally, in here, what we haven't talked about is that top image that's on the screen. So there's still plenty of available parcels that are in there. There's 4, it looks like 3, but technically 4 in that top screen. One thing to note about those is there's a lot of drainage issues that currently exist there. That's the reason that they've sit vacant. We can use some of this recurring TIF revenue to address some of those drainage concerns and potentially promote retail development in those areas. Also, a lot of redevelopment. You see a lot of parking lots in that bottom photo. You just saw Chipotle, where you're taking an old parking lot and you're converting it into a QSR, where you're having a new restaurant that's coming in. Just additional ideas that could be done here. The point ultimately being that we could potentially use this TIF revenue to help drive growth, advance safety, and ultimately enhance that streetscape and improve the economic vitality that this board has been asking us to move forward with for the last 2.5 years. Now, with that being said, I'll turn it over to Dexter to wrap up.
Thank you. I'll wrap it up quickly. I just want to give you sort of the rationale for why you would consider approving the project. First, this property, as I mentioned before, it's a prime location. The time is right for it to develop. I was thinking that I can't remember in the last 30 years really of anything new taking place around that intersection until Union Depot came in with the development on the Tennessee Baptist Children's Home. This property will build the tax base. Probably by the time everything's built out, this will be at least $100 million development that not only creates that tax base that Younger and Associates described, but it'll also have a very positive impact on the properties that are around it. Some of those properties, the property owners hopefully would look at additional development and investment in theirs, and that would produce more benefits to go to the city. 100% of any of those developments that get done in and around this property will go directly to the city. None of that goes into the TIF that goes to the project. It does provide additional housing and shopping opportunities. I know that the city over the last 5-10 years has invested in trying to bring retailing into the city, and we've started to see more of that happen now. But I know that helps really build the quality of life. The residents have more shopping and restaurant opportunities. This creates about 90,000 square feet, which is a substantial amount of commercial space to not only bring in the sales taxes, but also offer new offerings. And the last is just the safety improvements that Steve talked about. So hopefully that gives you a substantial amount of reasons that you can support the project, and any of our team members would be glad to answer questions that you might have.
Thank you, Dexter. Last Friday, I hosted a suburban mayor's meeting in my office, and that's something that the suburban mayors do quite often, to where we sit around and talk about their cities, what's working, what's not working. And at the end of the meeting, the Lakeland mayor, Josh Roman, had come up to me. He said, Mayor, I'd like to share something with your board. Do you think I could do that? And tonight, I want to extend him that courtesy as our sister city next to us. I'd just like to ask Lakeland Mayor Josh Roman to come forward. Give him that opportunity to share what he'd like to share with us.
Thank you, Mayor, Board of Aldermen. I am Josh Roman. I'm the mayor of Lakeland. And first of all, I want to start off with, no one has asked me to be here tonight. I've read more than one comment online that showed that one of the TIFs in Lakeland being an example of what not to do. And I want to come here tonight to set the record straight, because TIFs have literally changed our lives. Amen. I have made some prepared comments. Don't want to speak extemporaneously on something this important. So, first of all, like I said, no one's asked me to be here tonight. In 2017, you guys may not realize this, but Lakeland had just lost Kroger to the other side of the street. We were in a little bit of a downhill spiral, and we had sales tax revenue of roughly $400,000. Today, it's almost $4 million. The only thing that has changed is 4 TIFs where Shelby County Commission, I want to give a public thank you to Mikkel Lowry, Mick Wright, and the entire Shelby County Commission for believing in Lakeland and that we could produce. But the only difference is that they approved 4 TIFs that allowed us to grow substantially. Simply put, the TIF tool allows us to take a portion of the new property tax revenue created by the development and reinvest it back into the area that actually generated the tax. We've been fortunate enough for Shelby County to approve 4 TIFs, and each one has had a major and substantial impact. The Lake District had been an old factory outlet mall that was an eyesore. And I'll admit it had gang activity inside of it. It was not a great place. When I was growing up, it was a good place, go get our Bass shoes, but its time had come and gone. And the TIF allowed us to get rid of criminal activity and to create a thriving retail district that has national brand names that you would all recognize. Then we have Town Square. It allowed us to reserve an area for future Lakeland City operations, but more importantly, the incentives allowed a win-win with the developer that allowed us to enforce strict design guidelines. And it's also a commercial hotspot. You can't go to Lakeland Town Square any night where there's not sports teams or people meeting and having a good time. I've seen some of your familiar faces there, so thank you very much for supporting Lakeland Town Square. The third one was the Gateway area, or a TIF. It allowed us to purchase 2 crime hotspots, known as motels, and now we have less than 20 reportable crimes a month in our city. Let me say that again. We have less than 20 reportable crimes a month. Most of the crime that we had was coming from 2 major areas. The TIF allowed us to focus on safety, purchase those properties, and they're no longer with us. Lastly, Highway 70 Safe City TIF will complete our neighborhood center concept and use a portion of those funds to make Highway 70 safer for the many new drivers traveling to and from our new middle and high school. In Lakeland, this has been a complete game changer. By using the TIF to support infrastructure and encourage private investment, we've seen new businesses open their doors, and the new businesses have mostly been by Lakeland residents wanting to invest back in their community. It's been great to see. We've created jobs, which I think is the reason why Shelby County has been so forthright in partnering with us, but most importantly, we've increased our sales tax revenue. This sales tax revenue, Shelby County Schools relies on heavily, and so we've been able to support Shelby County Schools while at the same time supporting our own school system and our own base. It's allowed us to, like I said, increase safety. Now, I know some ask whether TIF means we're giving up too much property tax. The truth is, without these projects, that revenue would have never existed at all. It doesn't take away from what we have. It actually helps create something new. And once the TIF sunsets, all of that increased property taxes comes back to us as what could be deemed as a windfall. It's also important to remember Shelby County is investing right alongside you guys, but to a greater extent. That means when a TIF project succeeds, it not just succeeds for Lakeland or Bartlett, but it succeeds for Shelby County as well. The county gains new revenue, like I said, to support school, law enforcement. Is truly a partnership. A TIF is a tool to help city leaders that are not fans of property tax to not have to raise property taxes because you're getting revenue somewhere else. I will end with saying this. I want to thank the city of Bartlett for their partnership on the sewer system. Without Bartlett, we wouldn't have been able to, have the sewer system that we have today. We thank you guys very much on the interlocal agreement that we recently did. I want to publicly thank Mike Wisman in Arlington for his help with our school system. Without Arlington's help with our school system, we wouldn't have what we have today with our school system. And I again would like to publicly thank Shelby County Commission for helping us and believing that we could produce greater jobs and greater sales tax revenue. And I would tell you what's good for Bartlett is good for Lakeland, is good for Shelby County. And that's why I've waited 2 hours is to come tell you that. Again, I don't have a dog in the fight. It means nothing to me. I come from an abundance mentality, and I just hope you guys work this out and wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Appreciate it.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, can I ask Josh a question? Is that okay?
Uh-huh.
Before you go too far,
Yes, sir.
to kind of piggyback on the Lake District, I was on the commission when we approved the Lake District.
Thank you.
That's okay. I just remember the conversation, and I think one of the questions that we have, and I'm glad that you came because you could answer this, and Dexter could probably answer this as well, but Yehuda went bankrupt.
Yeah.
The developer went bankrupt. So what has that meant for the Lake District TIF Because there is some concerns out in our community. What happens if the developer goes belly up? So what has that meant for Lakeland? Can you answer that?
First of all, that's a great question, and I can sum it up with one word: nothing. But let me expand on that if you don't mind. First of all, I want to publicly say thank you to Yehuda Netnel and his huge vision for what he wanted to bring to Lakeland. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to see it through, but what he left behind was an immense impact on our city, and I'm forever grateful. But the person that financed him, right? So when you do a TIF, it's backed by the property taxes, right? The person that financed him is going to make sure they pay the property taxes so they don't lose that property. So long story short, it's based on property taxes, which all of us know that's the first thing that gets paid to make sure we don't lose our property. And whether it's the developer or the person financing the developer, they're going to make sure that gets paid. So the answer is nothing, but I wanted to make it a little bit longer than that.
So the reality was they developed all the commercial, which has been great for you guys, and you've seen a big boom from the sales tax. It's kind of flipped with this, like Keith he's doing all the development, or he has done all the development.
And I'll tell you, that was the recommended way of doing it. And a lot of the businesses that were coming into the area were hoping to have that base of traffic to be able to fund them. We just got lucky that our area has been thriving for that type of businesses, that we've been able to support it as a means of destination. However, the right way to do it is the way they're doing it.
Yeah, and it sits at the intersection of Canada Road and 40, right on the interstate, which makes it even better, right? So there's been no negative impact to the city from a financial viewpoint. It's not been on the back of the city. It is functioning as it's supposed to.
It's given us an incentive, and if you don't mind me talking a little bit more, you mentioned a burger joint that has a raving fan, and earlier in the conversation, don't mention it.
All right, no, we can't talk about it right now. We can't talk about it.
All I got to say is that the incentive package that the TIF allowed me to go to their doorstep, offer them a ton of money, and basically what they said was they'd rather be in Bartlett. So if you do get this incentive, and Arlington, I'll throw Arlington in there. So if you do get this incentive, I would tell you to go to the unnamed place.
Are you saying that if we get this incentive, we may get the unnamed place? That's a good possibility, right?
I'm telling you to knock on the door, because they said no to a lot of money because they love Bartlett.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Josh while he's here, or the mayor? Again, thank you, Josh, for spending 3 hours usually a night with us.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. At this time, we'd entertain a motion in a second to get it to discussion.
Move we approve.
Been properly motioned. Is there a second?
Second.
Been second. Now the floor is open for discussion.
Mayor, I got 2 questions for Kim and Keith. Y'all come forward. During this process, I learned that all TIFs are not the same. And there's a lot of differences in TIFs. And it's a little confusing because it's not cut and dry. And this TIF may require this TIF may require this, and this city is doing this, and this city is doing that. So I've got 2 questions for you tonight. If I moved that the city requests additional 15% of the developer's share of the city and county tax revenue generated through the TIF to be added to the conditions of the Industrial Development Board and the development agreement for the Union Depot First Edition. In doing this adjustment is consistent with the construction that I reviewed in Arlington and Lakeland's TIFs, and would result in an estimated $3 million in additional revenue for our city. These funds would be dedicated to the additional development area and could be applied to enhance public safety initiatives and provide matching and supplement funds in the support of future grant opportunities that benefit the community. So my question is to you tonight, would you consider that?
Alderman King, obviously something like that's a tough pill to swallow, but at the same time, I've said all along in working with y'all, when we do this, it needs to work for us in the city. And if that's something that y'all believe that you believe needs to be in place to help further fund some of the safety measures and other items for the city, we would consider that.
So that would change our percentage to 37% and the county's percentage to 15%. That close?
That sounds correct, I think.
Okay. I mean, I can do a little math.
Yeah.
But in reviewing TIFs, they're all different, you know. And then my next question, I'm going to ask it. I probably know the answer, but you still will not reveal who the grocery store is at. Is that correct?
I cannot. That's correct.
Okay. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes.
Keith, we get asked that a lot. Can you kind of go just in depth, just a little bit, the reason why you cannot?
Yeah, it's so the way that grocers work is they work through a developer, and so they generally have a developer go and secure a site for them. And when they do that, and that's not us, okay, it's just the developer that's come to us and is under contract with us. They either they'll acquire the property and either lease back to do a ground lease with the grocer, or they'll sell it to the grocer with the site completely developed. And then they have long-standing agreements. Like in this case, Mr. Rogers, who was here last time for the zoning, he's represented about 90 of these. He's done about 90 of these all over the country, and so he has agreements with grocers that say, "I cannot give this out until we have this, until we're ready to fully release it." He has NDAs. We do not, but he asked me to withhold that. What I can tell you about this is it's a new concept for a grocer. I can tell you that I've seen some photographs of it that's much more modern and than what you may see in some of the grocers around here today. The other thing that I've told him is, you're in I call it an HOA, but it's not an HOA, it's a business owners association. There will be a business owners association around this. And I said, you need to understand that he will fall within our architectural guidelines. On top of that, he has to go before the DRC with Bartlett and be approved through their architectural guidelines. So that standard has been set with them with anticipation, and I've seen some of the product, and they've got some nice options. I think what they'll do is they'll cater to what Bartlett wants to see here and what we want to see within the development as a quality development. But this is a new concept even though it's a national grocer, it's where they're looking to redo about 150 stores or build, either redo or build an additional 150 stores across the country with this new concept that brings in things into there that's just like, larger aisles, easier for them to, we know that a lot of groceries are done online now. And so it makes it easier to do online stuff, but also for those locally to go in and shop there. But just new concepts like specialty items, like even sushi bars and stuff like that, or pre-prepared foods in there. Those are some of the things they've shared with us that they plan to do in this grocer as they come. So I can share those concepts with you, but I just would be reluctant this time because I gave the developer my word that I would not share it with you. So.
Okay, thank you. Board have any questions for the grants while they're up the podium?
No question. Just have a comment, if it's okay. So, generally, I'm very supportive of TIFs, and I think the business case, as you see it, particularly with what you just said about changing the share and how much makes a lot of sense, by the way. But TIFs are the development tools that are being used nationally. You can look in all types of cities across the country, and that's what's being used. So generally, I'm very much for TIFs. And we're seeing them all over the place. If you look at Millington, talking about blowing up, my goodness. And of course, they have Highway 51. They've got a lot of space, and they're building out, and they're doing a great job. And so is Josh in Lakeland. So I think that TIFs are great, and I think they're a great tool. I will say this in general. One of the things that just concerns me, and this is just me personally, although I really like the TIF. I really like the TIF, and I like the terms, is that if we develop this piece of property, we just approved STOA taking a piece of property on 64 that we thought might be a grocery store. A modern grocery store. Of course, you can't put one on there because there's a stream through the middle of the property, which is part of the issue, right? I mean, but we thought that was going to be a grocery store, a different type of grocery store. And the people here want a different type of grocery store. So really our last big piece of developable property really sits in this space. And Publix looked at it, right? Did they look at the property? Do you have any public comments about what they thought about it, or was there anything about that property that they said really?
What I was told by the previous administration that it was the sewer constraints. There was no sewer available, and the other thing that they was concerned about was a little bit about the labor market. And if I'm not mistaken, there was a shooting in a Kroger store in Collierville about that time. And I heard I was told they got cold feet on the area.
Yeah.
And that was, well, it's been 3 years, 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. Yeah. We have reached out to Publix. Yeah. I can't count the time, countless times. Yeah. The real estate president for Publix, we're on her. She said, "Don't call me no more. We'll call you." And so I don't know when that'll be. I don't know that
if ever.
If ever.
Yeah.
I'm just say this: it hadn't been for a lack of the city administration reaching out, trying to get them to come.
I'm going to assume that if a large grocery store like that would come into that property, they would want a TIF to develop it more than likely, one way or the other. The only reason why I bring that up is this: my biggest concern has been just not having visibility. Since we don't have any more grocery store property that I can really identify at this point, are we going to close the door to really kind of what we want if we do that? If we go ahead and we approve this. I mean, the reality is I don't have visibility into we don't have visibility. There's not been a public announcement as to what's going to go in the grocery store. And, my biggest concern is that we have a TIF, we approve it, and it goes to underwrite another Kroger or a Walmart, or something like that. And to me, that's the difficulty in this for me, I just don't think it would be seen favorable by the citizens if that's what we approve. Now, it'd be pretty simple if you came down here and you said it was a Publix or a Wegmans or, something like that, Hy-Vee. I think we would all jump in and go, okay, let's approve it, right? I mean, because we knew that, right? But that's not been laid out before us. So my perspective is just for me, and I think the TIF works. I think the numbers work. I think my problem is I don't have a public stance on the grocery store to be able to really weigh in with what I want to do. So I'll probably wind up just abstaining on it because I don't know at this point. I think that people would love to know. We're probably not going to find out till afterwards, one way or the other. But to me, I think it's important to them. So that's my perspective. But I will support if you want to make that motion, I will second it to change the share. So I have no problem.
One reason I'd like to add that we've had another grocer looking at another site within that TIF district. And at that time, the property wasn't for sale. And I've got a meeting this Friday. I think it's coming available. So I'm just saying there is another potential site of a grocer around the same size as this one.
There is.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to recognize CEO Mr. Sones.
So Alderman King threw a wrench in things, and now we've got attorneys scrambling. So I would like to invite our IDB attorney, Tricia Adrian, up just to kind of clarify the language of the percentage. She just wants to make sure everything's right from a legal perspective. That's all.
Hi, I'm Tricia Adrian. I'm with Harris Shelton. This is Justin Starling. He represents the developer. So we've been working together on all of these on Union Depot for years now. But just to clarify how the process would work with getting an extra 15% from the developer's portion, so from their 75%, the 15%, the EIP as it's written, the amendment, you would pass as is, and then the IDB would be the entity that would approve the development agreement with that deal, for lack of a better word.
I'll be honest with you, ma'am. You got to speak into the mic because I got about every other word that you said.
I move around too much. Sorry. So the IDB would be the entity that would enter into the development agreement with the developer for that additional 15%, and that would just be on the extension, so phase 2.
So it goes to them, not to us. I mean, it's got to go for their approval. Right.
Yes, you can certainly, request that the IDB does
yes,
that.
but if the developer agrees to it, the IDB is not going to really have a dog in the hunt, and so
he's shaking his head. Yes.
Yes.
So who takes it to them?
Well, it's two processes. One goes here for the vote, right? And then assuming that this is approved, because that would happen under this circumstances, it would go to the Shelby County Commission. And if they approved it, then that developer agreement that they're talking about would come back to IDB, and that's when we would make the adjustment.
Okay. We're saying all that, but we don't know if it's approved
That's
yet.
exactly right. So right now we're operating under an assumption, but that's the mechanics of it to get it there.
So if it's approved, then we have to go that step. If it's not approved, then that step. Right. Okay.
Yeah. We just wanted to
I
clarify
didn't mean to
that.
complicate everything.
No. And if y'all have any other questions about that, we can answer.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so I just want clarification. So if we vote to approve, can we make it contingent upon I just want, that's on record.
I think that's what they're saying.
Okay,
They would agree to the terms that Alderman King suggested.
A mutual agreement at this time.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Mr. Grant.
I'll just go on record in case there's any questions about it. But we would, because the IDB will make the request that the 15% stay in the city, so there's no questions about it. So I don't understand. Yeah, they're looking at me like I'm supposed to be doing something.
Sorry, I'll repeat that. I wasn't on the mic this time. So, no, I want to be on the public record of stating that we're in agreement of the city retaining the 15% of what we would be getting. So when it goes to the IDB for the development agreement, we will concur with that. I don't understand exactly the dynamics.
And the key word is an additional 15, not just 15.
Yeah, I think we're saying the same thing, but I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? We had a motion and a second, and Madam Clerk, are you clear on the motion? Did he?
Yes, Alderman Rickland made the motion to approve, and Alderman Reed seconded.
Okay, good deal. Does any of them have any questions on what they're voting on?
May I ask a question?
No.
Not at this time. Any questions from the board?
Is this just a vote on the extra? Or is this just added?
All-inclusive. All right. Any other questions?
Sorry, Brad, I should turn the microphone on.
Okay. Madam Clerk? So, Resolution 28-25 fails. Next item on the agenda is item number 2. Madam Clerk, will you read into the record, please?
Resolution 33-25, a resolution authorizing the City of Bartlett to participate in the Property Conservation Matching Grant Program from public entity partners.
Mr. Dick Phoebus, Director of Finance, you're recognized.
This comes to us from the public entity partners. They have another grant. It's a matching grant. I think it's up to $8,000. They will match $4,000 of it.
Is there a motion to approve or any questions for Mr. Dick?
I move we approve.
Second.
Motion, properly second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Madam Clerk?
Who was the second?
Kevin, behind you.
Thank you.
Jack was the maker and Kevin was the second. Resolutions 3325 passes unanimously. Madam Clerk, item number 3.
Ordinance 25-04, an ordinance to amend the City of Bartlett Cable Television Ordinance, Title 9, Chapter 5, the public hearing to be set for September 23rd, 2025.
This time we'll recognize the Assistant City Attorney, Mr. Will White.
Good evening. This is an ordinance to amend the City of Bartlett's Cable Television Ordinance. What the effect of this ordinance will have is to repeal the current Chapter 5 of Title 9 and replace it with the ordinance that is in your packets. The last time that this ordinance was significantly altered or amended was back in 1995. So this will update our cable television ordinance. It will also remove telecommunications providers from the cable television ordinance and give them their own chapter, which will be the next ordinance on the agenda. Cable television ordinance effectively requires that cable television providers, when they come in to the city, they have to have a franchise agreement. It also provides for regulation of their use of the public right-of-ways, and that's all spelled out in the ordinance. It provides for protection of the city in the form of indemnity provisions and insurance requirements for cable television providers, and provides for regulations that protect the Bartlett citizens in regard to their receipt of cable television services.
This just puts additional safeguards for the city.
Yes.
Is there a motion? Any second? Motion second. Any discussion or any questions for Mr. White? Hearing none. Madam Clerk? Ordinance 25-04 passes unanimous. Madam Clerk, will you read item number 4 under new business?
Ordinance 25-05, an ordinance to enact the City of Bartlett Telecommunications Ordinance, Title 9, Chapter 8.
Mr. White, you're recognized again.
This is going to be a new chapter, Chapter 8, that will govern telecommunications service providers. It functions very similarly to the cable television ordinance, except this one is tailored specifically to telecommunications providers. Provides similar safeguards to the city in the form of requiring telecommunications providers who come in to the city to provide telecommunications services to obtain a franchise agreement with the city. It regulates their ability to construct improvements within the city's public right-of-ways. It requires that they carry insurance. It requires that they indemnify the city. It also requires various security, construction, and performance bonds. It's a comprehensive ordinance that's, again, designed to protect the city and protect the city's citizens.
Will, could you read that whole ordinance for us? No, I'm just kidding.
I can, but it may take just a second.
I move we approve.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk? Ordinance passes unanimous 6-0. We now move to open discussion. Is open to the board first. Any board members have anything they wish to say? Seeing no one wishing to be recognized, we move to the directors. And Todd?
I didn't want y'all to be mad at me since it's like 9 o'clock. Yeah, just a couple of things, if you will. This Saturday, we are going to have the fitness series out at Freeman Park again. We have teamed up again with Deep River Fit, so 9 o'clock in the morning at Freeman Park. You can sign up and register at www.deepriverfit.com. And then the following week, our next, show in the Bartlett Live Music Series. Everything up till now has been a roaring success. We've had some great shows, but we've got Bruce Key coming up on September the 6th. classic rock country. They played last year and were a hit, so we're bringing them back again this year. 7 o'clock, Freeman Park, September 6th. It's free.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any director have anything they wish to share? Seeing no one jumping up and down, Madam Clerk, have we received any open discussion citizens forum?
Just one, Dan Richards.
Mr. Richards, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I know it's late. I have a couple of things that I'd like to address. I'm going to get a couple of things off my chest. I want to make some comments. My wife and I want to express our concerns on the way this board is operating. And I'm going to do it with one basic word: Kroger. At your July 22nd meeting, at the very end of it, we watched it on YouTube. Y'all were talking about the issue that we were just talking about here with the Union Depot folks, the new restaurant, the new grocery store, that was going to be in Bartlett, and about the possibility of having a new grocery store here. And one of you made the following comment: as long as it's not Kroger. Now, that is one of the largest sales tax contributors to this city. And I consider that comment, and the fact that all of you laughed along with him and agreed with him, is absolutely despicable. And I use the term despicable because the worst word that I had, the one that I'd like to say, Chief Cox would be throwing me out if I actually said it. We need more retail in here, not less. And as I heard this, I went back to another issue, the June meeting. We had the head of the Bartlett Chamber of Commerce speak here. Yes, he gave a horrible presentation. And yes, one of you got up and had some really strong words to say about it, which I happen to actually agree with. But you know, John Threadgill has one thing that you guys don't have. He runs an organization that loves all of the businesses in Bartlett, regardless of who they are. Now, Chris and I have shopped at Kroger for years since we moved here. I also know Publix. I grew up in Miami. I went to them. Publix, they're overpriced, they're underwhelming, and they have a green logo rather than a white logo. But you know, I wondered if I was missing something. Maybe there was something wrong about Kroger that I hadn't seen. So I actually took a few minutes and went to each of the 3 Kroger stores and met with one of their managers. And you go into those stores, you know, they look really nice. In fact, the one on 70 where Chris and I go to has a mural that says, Kroger loves Bartlett. But let me tell you something. Not one manager, not one, had ever seen any of you elected officials go into that store and talk to them. They never knew about the problems you were saying it. They were surprised, they were confused, and they were concerned to learn the way that you guys consider their business. And they had questions about what should they do better. So here's the visual. Kroger loves Bartlett. Bartlett's customers love Bartlett. You guys don't. Have you had any thought about what would happen if Kroger would close one of those stores if you brought a new one on? If they thought what you felt about them? It might be something you want to consider, maybe even going out and talking to those managers. Now, Chris and I have been attending these meetings for over the past few months. Quite simply,
your time has ended.
You finish your statement if you want to.
You're not performing the way we thought you should. I've actually heard more questions tonight about a beer license or a liquor license than I ever did of all the issues you had about the budget, the tax increase. And let me close by saying, look, we acknowledge and we appreciate all of your decisions for public service. We know that. However, all of you, both collectively and individually, certainly can do a lot better for this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? That's it. That concludes the business for this meeting. Meeting adjourned.